It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome in to Sports Time on a Tuesday, July 25th. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you for the next 3 hours, and we've got a lot to get into. American Athletic Conference Media Days took place today, so did ACC. They started today. They'll run through Thursday. Big Ten gets started tomorrow, so a lot more college football kind of getting underway today. We also have a lot of camps opening in the NFL today for veterans, so a lot of football to get to over the next 3 hours. But, Brett, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Big Ten gets it going tomorrow in Indianapolis. But I think probably we'll get to not top stories, but one of the bigger stories of the day is thank goodness. Thanks so much that the story we're not having to talk about.
Yeah.
Very similar to the day of the Tiger Woods car wreck. I had that foreboding feeling of, I'm afraid of what we're going to have to talk about. Thank goodness we don't have that with Bronny James. Fast recovery, get well soon. I know his parents had to be scared to death, and the USC coaching staff and all around. But how great is it for USC now, back-to-back summers, to have that cardiac arrest, heart attack. That's what that is, and to have that. And I don't know the mechanism, I don't know the equipment, but to have it on hand, we need to start having that mandatory at everything in sports, youth, anywhere that you can think of. And I hope between DeMar Hamlin, now LeBron James, his family, Bronny James, I hope that almost becomes the cause celeb for somebody like LeBron James to get out there and go, we got you don't have a sports team if you don't have this nearby.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. I mean, anytime it's a family member, especially a son, I mean, that's just terrifying. And like you said, second time this has happened in the last two off seasons for USC basketball. It's scary. I mean, it really is. And luckily, the first player, I forget his name, from last year, he was a incoming freshman.
I'm sorry, I do too.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for him.
But he was cleared and able to come back, rejoin the team, and participate in January. So hopefully we have a same situation for Bronny, where this isn't a career-ending situation for him, but definitely scary. Anytime cardiac arrest, that heart issues, it really is a scary situation.
It sure is, and before people even get started on it, and it's why we have to keep trust in authority, in the alphabet soup of things, especially when it comes to medical. And first of all, the people wanting to draw it to the vaccination. You do not know that. I don't know that it's not.
Right.
You don't know that it is. There's plenty of time to hash that out. I know Keontae Johnson at Florida was before the vaccination, and I know Hank Gathers was well before.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate it happens, and it's unfortunate that obviously I think it's easier to kind of think you can draw those ties when it happens back-to-back years with these young basketball players, but things happen. I mean, these situations happen. It's very sad to hear whenever it happens, and I think you're right. I mean, we don't know whether it was or whether it was, and I think it's reckless speculation to try to tie those connections to anything, really.
For sure, but just so glad for him, and really looking forward to seeing SC this year. And you know their coach was Lob City.
He was.
And the infield, and looking forward to seeing I hope Bronny James
and you know
back out on the court.
Who the star is going to be of that team.
I do know who that star is going to be. Bronny James, if he's eligible.
I was going to say Boogie Ellis.
Boogie be the seasoned kind of grand old man of college basketball.
He really
it feels like Boogie was here under Josh Pastner, doesn't it?
It feels like Boogie's been here a really, really long time.
Boogie was teammates with Chris Crawford, right?
It seems like it.
I know better.
Shaq Goodwin
Tiger fans
and all those guys.
I know he wasn't, but so glad that story turned out that way. But sure a lot of football talk in there and other things, and woke up to the news. With Saquon Barkley, I never thought he was going to miss a single game, and he was not going to miss an entire year, and nor will Josh Jacobs. He may posture, he may miss all accounts, but you got to be in that. You got to be out there for that game check. You're not gonna miss it.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Saquon didn't miss any training camp. I was a little surprised by that, but
I thought it might get to more loggerheads than that too.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk to Bo Marchant a little later in the show to get his thoughts on it, because I thought we could maybe go a week or so, maybe a couple weeks of back and forth, trying to get a little more money before he ultimately got a new contract. But gets it done today, and he'll be there. And I think that's definitely huge for this Giants team, because he's been a huge part of that team when he's been able to stay healthy. And I said it yesterday, I think it would have been a shame not to see him in games if he ultimately had decided to sit out while he was healthy, because I think we've gotten used to over the last couple of years of not being able to see him because of all those injuries he's dealt with.
Well, that's the issue around him, and that's the issue around that position is the health. Yeah. And look, they've got fully vested into the Union in 3.4 years, and that's the average lifespan of most players. And I think running backs are like 3.2. It's a little less than that for running back for that position. We still know that the toll on them. They were the stars of the sport. Really, they were quarterback stars too. But you think back, kind of in my lifetime, Jim Brown was first big star, Paul Hornung, then into the 70s with O.J. and Earl Campbell and Tony Dorsett. Of course, I know there were quarterbacks out there then as well. Franco Harris, a big star, and then in the 80s, and it just started diminishing. And they're angry with their own players association, and now I hear the NBA players are irritated with some of the deals with the collective bargaining. Y'all sign it. You have to trust your leadership, and then that vote in your clubhouse. And I think they vote in a block of the team, and one vote represents how the player rep vote. Like in the NBA, let's say 15 players. If it's 8-7, they're for it, and then that player goes and votes yes. Is that right?
That's how I understand it. I mean, I could be wrong.
Can that player rep go rogue?
I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea. I don't think we've seen it, so I have no idea.
I don't know why in the 50 years I've been following labor management fracas in sports. I've never thought to ask that if they could vote against the wish of the locker room clubhouse.
It's interesting. I don't know. I think when you kind of talk about these running backs, it's interesting because we know about that Zoom meeting they had over the weekend with all the running backs kind of in there trying to figure out what they can do. And they kind of came out, and a lot of the different running backs were talking about how they think it's crazy that they get all of this production from 1,000 yards rushing and 2,000 yards rushing, and when it's all said and done, they don't get the money after that because of getting banged up from all of the hits they're taking. And we know it's a difficult position to have a long career, and we've been seeing short careers from running backs for years and years. So I don't think it's crazy for owners to say we don't want to give you as much money because of all the hits you're taking, because we know how physical of a game it is for running backs.
And now we've tacked on another game. I mean, and kind of the merits of being a 1,000-yard rusher doesn't have the cachet that it once did, but those hits are still coming, and that's the only fair knock on Saquon Barkley, and it's not his fault that he's been hurt. I'm never that guy. He's only played in 60 regular season games in 5 years.
Yeah. But, I mean, part of those injuries is taking all of those hits. I mean, it wears down the body. And, these are great athletes. I mean, you can't say anything else about these guys. But ultimately, I'm not mad at the decision by these owners for not wanting to pay up on these running backs, because we just know how short of careers it can be for running backs.
Yeah, those owners, they didn't get to be multi-billionaires making dumb deals, and they've got that amortized out, and they know it backwards and frontwards, and they don't. They're paying somebody a lot of money to know it. I do think the game is more physical now than it's ever been. Yeah. I do think the hits are harder, and I think it's simple inertia. that much speed, that size, running into each other. I know it was big hits all through football history. I mean, from Chuck Bednarik almost killing Frank Gifford. I mean, literally, he missed a year out of the game and was, that famous photo of, people thought Frank Gifford was dead out on the field. And, thank goodness he wasn't. But, it's always been ferocious hits. It's always been those shots that make you cringe. They with the rules, they are trying to lessen that, but you can't take football out of football. Did you watch much of the ACC media days? I know we're going to talk a lot of AAC, but did you watch ACC any?
I got to catch a little bit of it. I saw Dino Babers talking earlier. I got to see Georgia Tech this afternoon.
I saw Mario Cristobal.
Yeah.
When will the U be back, Jay Morgan?
Oh, good question.
They're not. The U is back to work.
Oh, I like that.
Back to work. That's the mantra, huh? I enjoyed ACC Media Days and thought Mark Packer, the son of, and great talk show host in Charlotte and with ACC Network, I thought he was just terrific in literally Jerry Lewis telethon type hosting.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jay Morgan talked about it yesterday, and they do a really good job with the ACC when it comes to media days, and it's
just made for TV.
It really is, and it makes it really fun to watch. I think some of the other conferences. Who was I watching last week that I couldn't stand their media days? I can't even think of who it was now. But
SEC?
No, it was Big 12. It was the Big 12.
Okay.
No, I enjoyed the SEC, but it was the Big 12 2 weeks ago where everything wasn't in one. It was like you'd have to go. They had like 4 different streams going at the same time. One was just press conference. One was just people talking. One was players, and then the other was something else. And so you didn't have them all in one where you could just get everything at the same time. So I do think the ACC does a really good job at that.
I listened to Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, and his lower third graphic. Chiron had Jim Phillips, Ph.D. Wow.
How about that?
That's really exemplary, isn't it? And he swatted away Northwestern stuff and really kind of shut it down. I referred to my previous statement. Don't ask me again about it. And they didn't. And that's not everybody there not doing it. And I don't want to blame the collective, but I've joined 2 shows today, and both shows asking me about banishment, credentials revoked, find out who voted for Vanderbilt. Man, that has really irritated some people, and I got a solution for it. Going forward, here's what we need to do. If you're credentialed and you vote, you must be required to let it be public.
I like that. That's what they do for the AP Top 25 votings. Is your name is associated with everything, so everyone can go
your
see
name's
it.
there, and if you're credentialed and you vote, you may not want to vote. That's fine. But if you vote, you sign up front that it's revealed, because it has really got some people and talking about. Let's find out. And I understand that Paul Feinbaum has invited the Vanderbilt to win the SEC title people onto his show.
Yeah, he put that on
and
Twitter.
I don't think you'll get many takers.
No, the only taker I saw was a fake account saying that they voted for Vanderbilt.
Oh,
it was very clearly fake, and some people did not put the pieces
now,
together.
Have we made the move to X yet? And what will we call tweeting?
So
when the bird's gone,
the website has moved to X, but the app has not. But it's still called Twitter.
Well, that was misleading. The website is still called Twitter. Like, I still go to twitter.com.
Yes.
But the picture on the website is a picture of an X.
And so is the little tab in your top corner on your.
Not on Mac.
I still got a bird as an app.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, me too. But it's on when I go on the internet, it's X now. So.
But twitter.com.
It's still twitter.com. But it's
very misleading your
picture,
language.
No,
there.
I'm saying the picture is an X. Is it not?
Yeah.
All right then. So slowly but surely, I guess. How much American did you? Well, I guess you don't have ESPN Plus, so that's an issue.
Followed a lot of different Twitter sites, and look forward to visiting. You're going to go through the rundown today, in a second. We're going to talk about it a lot today. And wasn't surprised the Tigers fell in at 4th. I love Ryan Silverfield's comments. He said, we just hadn't done enough to be any higher than that. He knows that.
Yeah.
I think it's eyes wide open for him, and he's been straightforward. And I think with a lot of candor in his tenure, and we've talked a lot about the hand that he drew, one of the toughest tenures ever to be a head coach, coinciding when he took over, what he took over, the expectations, first-time head coach, and all that. And I have the Tigers fourth now. The debate will be there's fourth and there's fourth. I have the Tigers fourth, and we'll get to W's and L's when we get to all these games, but I'm going to fall in around 9-3. 9-3 and fourth, you don't have one thing to explain, I don't think. Do you?
No, I don't think so at all.
What if you're 8-4 and fourth? What to explain? Very much, a little, something, nothing?
Maybe a little. I think 8-4 is still an extremely good record, though.
7-5 and fourth.
Well, that might be a different conversation because then there's more
Sure
losses.
could be.
Who are those losses to? You know,
Because 7-5 but fourth in the league probably means a loss week 2 at Jonesboro that I don't think is going to happen.
Yeah. So I mean, that's true. It's how you look at it, I guess, at the end of the season with the.
It really
record.
is.
But I think you should be. I think you should be happy with a top 4 finish in this conference.
No, I respectfully no. Not just any fourth. I think there are different. There's a layer. 9-3 and fourth. I'm cool. 8-4. I'm mostly cool. Can't. But here's the rub for Ryan Silverfield. Even if it's just 2 losses, well, maybe not 2. I think most people understand.
Yeah.
He can't have those gift wrap giveaway at the end games this year.
Well, and it seems like Go ahead, Jim.
Well, that's why they're fourth, is because that's why people vote them. I think because all of the things to me point to you got all these returners coming back, especially a third-year starting quarterback. Generally, people that are at least picking winners or betting, let's say in Vegas, generally like teams like that. I think a lot of people, the general public, other than specifically outside of Memphis, maybe even in Memphis, doesn't really trust Ryan Silverfield very much. And he has a chance to prove him wrong, I think, in a big way, too, because I think he's had a good excuse that the roster has been very young in a really good league over the past couple of years.
I think there have been fair excuses for it, but I also know it's a zero-sum game.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I know a couple of the players talked about a couple of the players talked about it today about how they finished games. And it seems like it's a big kind of point of emphasis this offseason and in practice in things because of, I mean, they talked the last 2 years, they've lost pretty much every close game they've been in, and that just can't be the case going into this season.
Except for State.
Except for State, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
so,
that was a wonky game.
And I remember, Bruce Marshall last year would come on, and when we would ask him about Tiger football games, especially road games, he would say Ryan Silverfield in his career is 1-11 in road games against the spread.
Bruce was kind of riding against him.
He was, and I think that's very fair to do. I mean, when you have a record like that, but something's got to change. I mean, these excuses I think have been good excuses for Ryan Silverfield, come in under a lot of different type of weird circumstances. But I think you're right. Those close games cannot result in losses this season. But let me go ahead, Brett.
Perfect segue for the setup. Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. So let me set up today's show before we get into top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Joe Tomek, the executive director of the FedEx St. Jude Classic, will join us. It's only a couple weeks away before we'll be out at Southwind watching some golf. So we'll have Joe on to talk about the tournament coming up, where you can get tickets and all of that good stuff. 3:45, we'll talk some baseball. The trade deadline is right around the corner. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville will join us to talk some college football. I'm sure we'll talk a lot of ACC with him as their media days got kicked off today. 4:30, Joe Hoyt from the Dallas Morning News will join us. He's down in Arlington for AAC Media Day, so we'll talk a lot about the American Athletic Conference. Also, SMU, they were picked 3rd in the preseason poll today, so we'll ask a couple questions about what that team could look like this year. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant will join us to talk some NFL. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The summer clearance sale going on right now at Family Leisure, and they need your help to clear their inventory. All DIY pools, $1,000 off. Special 24-foot round pool, less than $2,000. Select play gyms, only $18.99. Patio furniture up to 30% off, and spas are in stock and up to $1,200 off. Also, don't forget about the 24 same-as cash financing now available. Only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Brian, I'm Brett, and Jay Morgan Harder is our producer, and you can call us or text us at 901-360-8255, 901-360-8255. We're always in our Family Leisure Studios, and this hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. The one and only Lexus dealership in town. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story here locally is the American Athletic Conference Media Days. Took place today down in Arlington, Texas. The preseason poll, I'll run through it real quick. Number 1, Tulane. 2, UTSA. 3, SMU. 4, Memphis. 5, Florida Atlantic. 6, East Carolina. 7, North Texas. 8, UAB. 9, Navy. 10, Temple. 11, Tulsa. 12, Rice. 13, USF. And then 14, Charlotte. Tulane got 20 first place votes. UTSA got 9. SMU got 3. Memphis got 1. And UAB, who was picked 8th, got 1 first place vote for this.
Find out who voted for them.
Yeah, really. Let's find
Band
that
their
out.
credentials.
That's right. But I thought it was a fun day hearing from all the teams, especially Ryan Silverfield. He talked a lot about kind of coming into this season and the new look American. And like we kind of talked about earlier, he said it. The players who were interviewed throughout the day said it. It's finishing games. It was a lot of games last year especially, and even the year before, where they just really couldn't close out. They were in position to win the game, or maybe they were up late in the game and just couldn't finish. That's going to be a big emphasis this year in what's a new look American Athletic Conference. But I think the best part of the day was when Biff Poggi for Charlotte got up and took questions. He got asked one question about the new look American and being a part of it. He got asked a second question about recruiting, I think it was, and his third question asked was about NIL. And then they said, okay, any more questions for Biff Poggi? Nobody. And so he goes, really? 3 questions? And he started pounding the desk and saying, that's why y'all have us ranked last and y'all don't have any questions. That's what y'all think about us. We'll remember that. And walked off the stage. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Francis Biff Poggi. Real name, Francis.
Wow.
Former hedge funder, Biff Poggi. My top story, AAC Media Days. For football in Arlington, that's where they're hosting it. We know the league office is down in Irving. We know the basketball tournament, it's at Fort Worth at Dickies Arena for a while. And we also know this. We hope this is one of the last years of the Tigers in the AAC. I don't think that would come as a surprise to Mike Oresco or anybody in their offices. If there was an announcement today, they're not going to be, but if there was an announcement today the Tigers are gone to the Big 12, I think it would take, we know this year they're going to play in the AAC, and it probably would be next year, at the very earliest, playing football in the Big 12 and out of the AAC seems like 2026 at the very earliest, and that sounds like a prison sentence, and I know it does to so many people, but what if it was 2027 or 2028 or 29 or 30? And that sounds like forever. Pick 4th today. That's what I have the Tigers, 4th, and I have them at 9-3. We'll discuss the levels of 4th. Hey, there's one way to fix that. Don't finish 4th. Finish 3rd or better. That's right.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day is what we started the show talking about. Bronny James rushed to the hospital after going into cardiac arrest during a USC practice. Definitely a scary situation for a player that has been such a big name over the past couple of years, being the son of LeBron James and being recruited by all these big-time schools. I think it's a scary situation when it happens to anybody, but the level of coverage this is now getting because of who he is, because of the relation to LeBron James, is huge. And I think you're right. I'm hoping, obviously I would never hope for anything like this to happen to anybody, but I'm hoping that this can kind of bring that awareness to what is going on that happens a lot in sports, and I think it's overlooked a lot. It's been happening for a while. It's nothing new to see players kind of dealing with situations like this, heart problems and different things. I'm hoping that LeBron James kind of now steps up and starts pointing to this issue. I hope Bronny James makes a speedy recovery. I hope everything, it sounds like he was first placed in ICU, but now is in stable condition at the hospital. So hopefully he can get back to the basketball court. I know it's going to be kind of a long process getting back there, but I hope this isn't a situation where he can never play basketball again. I'm hoping that it can be like the last USC player that last year this happened to, where he's back by January maybe at the earliest and able to play in some of those conference games. But definitely a scary situation and definitely sad to see it 2 times in 2 years at USC.
My not top story, Saquon Barkley was never missing a game check. He got a new deal, but not that much more money. We're going to be right back at negotiations next year. And now the story that the Giants were trying to trade him back before the draft, but he wasn't missing the season. And the owners know they're not going to miss the season. 2030, that's the next time the players can renegotiate anything to do with the CBA. That sounds like a long time, as I said earlier, about the Tigers waiting for a conference. What Saquon Barkley needs to do is have a big year and remove all doubt that he's got to get a lot bigger deal, even something outside of the market framework for running backs. He's only scored 2 touchdowns in playoff games and has only played in 60 games because of injury in 5 years.
Yeah, but I'm glad to see it happen. I'm glad to see they got that deal and that we'll get to see a lot of him during training camp and then into the season. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk about the FedEx St. Jude Classic with the executive director, Joe Tomek.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
1912, 1900, 1911, 1853, and now 1837. This is Shell Dunn Rosengarten with Mark's Benstorff Realtors. I have just sold one of the oldest homes in Shelby County. No brag, just fact. I'm very proud of selling homes across the age spectrum, and I can sell yours, whether it was built in the 1800s, the 1900s, the 2000s, or if it's only 2 years old. I may have the worst golf game in town, and I rarely make a par, and forget about birdies, I do real estate. That's why my golf game is so bad. I spend most of my time taking care of my clients. I have a highly successful strategic marketing program and tell people to talk to 2 to 3 brokers, but make sure that I'm one of them. Remember, when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn. Call me now at 483-0546 or email me at memphisrelocate.com. That's right, relocate is my middle name. memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. I'm waiting for your call or email.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
At Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat, it's time to make this the summer sales event you've been hoping for. Take a power trip in 2023 Fiat 500X Pop 4-door all-wheel drive, $27,990 or $408 a month. Dominate in the beast. 2023 Dodge Charger XST 4-door, we Gossett at $30,990 or $458 a month. And rule the road in dependable power 2023 Ram 1500 Tradesman Quad Cab 4x2, $32,990 $9.90 or $4.74 a month. And if we don't have it, Gossett can order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett on the Pike or shop online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
75 months at 6.10 APR, 3,500 down, pop, BP 990492, MSRP 31,355, Charger PH 504,815, MSRP 35,630, Ram PS 55,4620, MSRP 40,460, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax on license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month, dealer stock only.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
There's only one place for great steaks, real Italian cuisine, Southern-style meats, and fresh vegetables. It's Fratello's. Fratello's Italian Steakhouse in Hernando has a family feel and a fantastic menu. Voted DeSoto's best new restaurant in 2022, Fratello's has your favorite cuts of prime steak, lamb, and pork, along with delicious Italian dishes. And nothing is better for lunch than Southern-style meats and veggies. All your favorites and more are waiting for you at Fratello's Italian Steakhouse, Highway 51 in Hernando.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and joining us now, the executive director for the FedEx St. Jude Classic, Joe Tomek, is with us now. The St. Jude Classic coming up in only a couple of weeks, and tickets available at FedExChampionship.com. Joe, thanks for joining us. I know we're getting closer and closer to the tournament. How are things coming along at Southwind to get ready?
14 days and 16 hours. Not that anyone's counting here. In Southwind.
You're counting.
Oh, always. We're doing great, man. Everything looking fantastic. The course looks beautiful. The build is coming along great, as it usually does, and we're all excited. We're ready to have everyone out here.
And Joe, we love this. I told Bryant yesterday when we were talking about we're going to have you today and next week with us, and tournament week we're going to try to grab you, but we know that week there's a lot of moving parts. But this week, next week we're going to talk. And I told him, I said, let's keep it on golf. You know, everything that's happened with the tour, it's happened, and there's nothing that I don't think any of the three of us can affect. Biggest thing we need to do is enjoy our tournament, and that's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot going on in the golf world, and we're not naive to that. We're not living under a rock. It affects us, personally in our careers and our lives and all that sort of stuff. So we're aware of it, but I think at the end of the day, the important thing to note is that it doesn't have an impact on this year's tournament. And, we're focused on putting on an incredible championship for the city, for our fans, for our volunteers. We still have the top 70 players in the PGA Tour rankings, and that's a heated race that you should follow for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we're still benefiting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And as long as we stick to those core messaging points and, who we are as a tournament and what's led us here to our 66th year in Memphis, we'll be all right.
Well,
66 years of the PGA Tour coming through Memphis. Isn't that something?
Wow.
It's pretty incredible to say, and that's a testament to obviously FedEx, but also the volunteers that help put it on every year, the fans that come out support, the corporations that come and support with hospitality, and really it's just a testament to the city putting on a great week and the tour making an easy decision for the tour to keep coming back year after year.
When you talk about having the top 70 players in attendance, and if you go to FedExChampionship.com, the first thing you see on the website is Scheffler, Fowler, Morikawa set to return to FedEx St. Jude Championship. How big is, I know we know the changes to this tournament over the last couple of years, how big is it to be able to get the top 70 players to this tournament every year?
Yeah, I think it's, you all know the history as well as I do, if not better. It's we had some good years and some bad years in the Classic days, and then with the World Golf Championship, it brought a whole new level. But even then, they weren't guaranteed to show up, even if they qualified. Yeah. Well, now with the playoffs position, not only are they trying to get here, but they're certainly not considering skipping it. And so it puts us on a different caliber level of both who shows up, but also the build-up. There's so much excitement, so much drama that leads to whether a player makes it or not. And, Justin Thomas right now is one of the hottest storylines in golf because he's outside the 70. So he has to play this week at the 3M, and I think he's probably going to play next week at Wyndham because he knows he needs to claw his way into the top 70. And that just builds the excitement leading into Memphis.
Yeah, and proud champion of our event, and Joe, I think he knows it. I saw an interview with him today. It's eyes wide open for him. He knows he's got to get busy over the next few weeks just to get into Memphis and Ryder Cup, and he could have a hot finish this year and really quiet a lot of those. Joe, you've worked for the tour, and you've traveled in working for the tour to a lot of different tournaments, and I always say, Bryant can attest to this. When it's bad weather or maybe a field that's not that exotic, I always say, I feel for those people on the ground there, those tournament directors, because I know how hard they work at their events and how much pride they put in their events. But about us, and I'm not playing for that softball answer, but about us, because you've told me off there. You really can tell how much this means to us with how we refer to it as ours and my tournament. I mean, how much the PGA Tour coming through Memphis means.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I showed up here last year, 18 months ago or so, bright-eyed, bushy-tail, and everyone in this city that I talked to rushed to tell me their story of whether it was old Colonial or new Colonial or who knows what version of the tournament is theirs. God knows there's been enough versions of it. But everyone was so excited to share their story. And that just hit home the importance of the tournament to the city and to the members of the community. And if you think about the FedEx Cup playoffs, we're going into our 16th year. The other cities that have hosted tournaments are Atlanta, Chicago, New York, Boston, L.A. Memphis doesn't seem to fit with those, and that's the general reaction from golf media and the general public of why Memphis. But here, when you're on the ground, when the players are arriving to Memphis, when the national media arrive to Memphis, when the world is viewing TPC Southwind in our city, you can feel why, because it means something to us, because it stands out more in a city like this than a city like New York, where it's loud and flashy and busy and big events get lost because they're one in a dozen. Well, here it's one of one. And I think that's what makes it special, and that's what makes it so significant, both here in the community, but also impactful across the grand scheme of the golf landscape.
And, Joe, that's why I always so invite and love first-timers to the golf tournament and where they can see it. I think if you go and you're on the grounds for a day, 2 days, whatever time you go, it will consume you. You'll feel a part of it, especially with the connection with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and what Danny Thomas and his family always did for us when it was DTMC or even now what they do, what they represent. If you'll love on the golf tournament, it will love you back.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see as we've become a playoff event. We've focused a lot on attracting regional fans and spectators to come to Memphis, whether they're have a preconceived notion of the city or not. Come for the golf tournament. Come for your favorite star. And we have some great feedback from those fans and from partners outside of Memphis who had an incredible time, blown away by the experience. And I'll be pretty confident in my team. We can throw an incredible event and make sure everything's running smoothly and right. But it also comes down to the volunteers and the fans and the restaurants and the hotel staff and everything that collectively goes into the trip. I think we all know we have incredible Southern hospitality, and people feel that when they come to the city.
Yeah. Well, talking about tickets, what are the ticket options, the prices, and where can people go to get tickets for the tournament in a couple weeks?
Yeah, you hit it on the lead-in, FedExChampionship.com. Everything's sold online to make it nice and turnkey. Our general grounds tickets are open Wednesday through Sunday, and we definitely have some availability. Those are, dynamically priced as most things are nowadays, so they're fluctuating based on demand. So get them now, get them early before they go up too high tournament week. And then we do also have an offering on the 11th green, which is where it all wrapped up last year, an incredible moment with Will Zalatoris on the 11th green there. But the Michelob Ultra Athletic Club is just a step up for grounds tickets. If you're looking for a tent, get some shade, get some free beer within the price of the ticket. Just another level up for those looking for a little bit more premium experience. And as always, I want to remind people that kids getting free. We want to be the most family-friendly event that this city has. And so a ticketed adult can bring in up to 2 kids, 15 and under. And so get the word out, bring out the families, whether they're fans of golf or not. It's a fun thing to do out there. And, you have a chance to have front row seats 18 different times. That's the beauty of our sport.
Joe, every organizer, every event planner around town, I call it the controllables, and y'all have that so down. Last year, there's no way you could have controlled that finish. That finish, if you could have that again this year. And I thought for a while there last year, Will Zalatoris was going to try the kind of Freddie Couple shot where you hit it, where he hits it with the end of the putter. I don't think it's legal to hit it with the back of it, but for it to all wrap up there, literally hanging precariously.
I'll say, there's 2 things that I can't control in this position. One is the weather, and 2 is the leaderboard. And so I try not to focus on it too much, but he sure made us work for our first event here in Memphis. And, we planned for it. We knew we were going 18, 18, 11, 12, 18 for a playoff order. And so we had a plan, and I'm glad the team executed it well because, boy, did they put on a good finish. And
they sure did.
We were very fortunate to have Will back last week here to Southwind. He obviously has had to take the year off for recover from surgery, and we wish him well. He sounds like he's doing fantastic, and he's excited to be back. But so we're excited to have him back. He walked off that plane when we picked him up with a wedge in his hand because he wanted to go attempt that chip off the rocks to see if he made the right decision or not. It was pretty entertaining. He's been thinking about it for the better part of a year now.
How many staffers, how many people have wanted to go out there and try to replicate that shot?
Oh, I'm quite sure everyone. And, I'll take the blame.
A lot of damaged clubs.
I tried it the next day, and I went it straight into the water. So I'll own up to that one. But to Will's credit, that man tried it 4 times, and every time he put it in grass. So he was bummed. He was regretting his decision from last year, and I had to remind him that he still won nearly $3 million from his decision. So I think he did all right.
Joe, when we talk about the controllables, the late, great Phil Cannon would always say when people would kind of want to grouse about the heat, and I swear it used to be hotter at the golf tournament than it is now. It's weird. But Phil Cannon would always say in that nice, reassuring manner, it's an outdoor event played in Memphis, Tennessee in the summertime. So that's what it is.
It's wonderful. We got shade, you got free bleachers, you got free water refill stations. There's plenty of ways to get out of the heat and make sure you have an enjoyable time.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And Joe, thank you so much for joining us. One more time, where can people go get tickets for the tournament?
FedExChampionship.com. Follow us at FedExChamp on all of our social channels. The team will be pumping out all the information. Make sure you're checking up or get your tickets early. Encourage you to do so before they go up too close to the tournament.
Awesome, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely catch up with you before the tournament.
Sounds good, gents. Always great to talk to you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe Tomek joining us from the FedEx St. Jude Championship.
And we'll get a pick from him in 2 weeks.
Oh, we got to get a pick from him. I mean, he's got to be a part of our picks for that week. Only a couple tournaments left for our picks coming down to the wire.
It is coming down to the wire. Not many events left. I think just 5. And going into last week, we were out of 16 tournaments. We had picked the winner in 8. We didn't have the winner in either of those last week. So we're 8-10. We got to finish strong.
Yeah, we definitely. You don't need to finish strong. You're doing perfectly fine where you're at. I'm the one that.
I had one good week.
Well, hey, with our picks, that's all you really need is just one good week. Get ahead by a lot, and then just continue to make some money and not do what I did and pick someone who not just WD'd, but just wasn't in any of the tournaments at all. So that will definitely lose you some money. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little baseball.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Attention, everyone. Family Leisure needs your help clearing out their inventory. Let me say that again. Family Leisure is needing your help to clear out their inventory. And to do so, there are tons of great deals throughout the store. For example, all do-it-yourself pools are $1,000 off. Special 24-foot round pools for less than $2,000. Select play gyms, only $18.99. Hey, if you need patio furniture, they have patio furniture that's now up to 30% off. Spas are in stock. They're up to $1,200 off. Now listen up, because I'm only going to say this once. 24 months, same as cash financing, is now available through this sale. Family Leisure needs your help clearing out their inventory, so come and do your part at Family Leisure. Whitten Road and I-40, where family and fun come together.
Summer's here, and Gossett Kia on the Pike has the hottest deals you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Hit the highway with 41 MPG Highway 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $259 a month, $27.99 due at signing. 2023 Sportage LX 308 a month, $34.99 due at signing. And 2023 World Performance Car 2023 Kia EV6 Wind, EPA estimated range 310 miles, $499 a month, $49.99 due at signing. All 36-month leases plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte PE 641,916, MSRP 21,910. Sportage P 718,270, MSRP 28,185. EV6 P 510, 5073, MSRP 49,965. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 7/31/23. Dealer stock only. Warranties are limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Worn out tires are a safety hazard. TireRack.com reminds you to inspect your tires regularly. Grab a quarter, stick it in the tread. If you can see the top of Washington's head, it's time to replace. Go to TireRack.com/Colin, use the Tire Decision Guide to get a personalized tire recommendation. Choose from the full line of Vredestein tires and tread confidently. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Jim's Place Grill, over 100 years of charcoal grill steaks, over 100 years of celebrations, family time, and lasting memories. The Terrace family with their touch for our community. Recipes that date back to the beginning in downtown to now in Collierville at the railroad tracks at Poplar and Houston Levee. Online at jimsplacegrill.com. Don't forget the E in grill. Every steak grilled perfectly over an open flame. Come to Jim's Place and taste and see the difference. Lunch hours Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Dinner hours Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Since 1921, a Memphis landmark, hard work, values, and a dedication to their diners, the Terrace family creates a memorable dining experience. Lunch menu, the staples like the souffle ma, shrimp cocktail, crab cakes, and those salad dressings, all homemade. Dinner, the calamari, soup, seafood, and those steaks, fillets, ribeyes, and strips. Fantastic bar area, all at Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. First National Bank and Trust, with its roots in eastern Arkansas as a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, now firmly in West Tennessee. Eastern Arkansas's largest independently owned bank, now in West Tennessee.
First National Bank and Trust with offices at 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, 901-498-5763, and in Collierville. First National Bank and Trust focuses on their clients in the Mid-South with all their banking needs: personal banking, business banking, and online banking, and the mobile app. Courage and confidence has been displayed by First National Bank and Trust officers throughout its history. In good times and in challenging times, First National Bank and Trust has been recognized as one of the most progressive banking institutions in the country. Commercial, residential, recreational, customers depend on First National Bank and Trust because they know real estate. 901-498-5763 and contact Brooks Winchester or any member of the First National Bank and Trust team.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
So baseball rolls right along, and we're only about a week till trade deadline when hopefully we'll get some clarity on what teams will look like, especially the Cardinals. What will they look like? Sounds like they're going to be sellers, but a big win for them last night. Did y'all stay up for that ending and Tyler O'Neill's hit to put them on top?
I did, and I told Jay Morgan before we got started today, even the wins are ugly. I'm glad to get them.
They are.
And kind of the old saw, there's no ugly wins, no ugly brides, no ugly babies. But the wins are sloppy. Adam Wainwright just chugged to the finish line to get to the fifth inning to try to get the win, quickly dissipated. And Arizona's scuffling a little bit right now.
They are. I still like this Arizona team, but I mean,
after putting up a cacophony of runs against Atlanta, struggling too, we gotten swept in their last series.
Too many runs in that series.
They wasted all of them in losses to the Braves, unfortunately. But you're right about that. And tonight, Merrill Kelly starts against the Cardinals, making his first start since June. So he's coming back from injury. Steven Matz, fresh off of his first win of the season. It could be
the icebreaker.
I actually feel good about the Cardinals today, believe it or not.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
Interesting. I just
John Mozeliak saying just wait and see on trade deadline. What's that mean?
I guess wait and see. I don't know.
One had also reported before that he was like down to be a seller too.
Oh, yeah.
So it seems like
it's everywhere.
Very back and forth. And who's to know what we can trust? So take everything with a grain of salt. But it seems very back and forth to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised that anybody dealt, and at this point, I wouldn't mind anyone dealt, and that includes Nolan Arenado, because I know to get, you have to give. And to really fetch back a lot of talent, you're going to have to give up something like that. You're not getting a lot back for Dylan Carlson and Tyler O'Neill.
No, you're not.
You're going to get something comparable to that.
But Brett, after that performance last night by Tyler O'Neill, I mean, he's almost an untouchable.
Oh, and they're selling him. They're selling the hell out of him now too, Brett. I saw like 8 stories on everyone that does sports publication and covers baseball wrote a story about Tyler O'Neill last night. I mean, I get it, he can't walk off, but it's unbelievable the amount of like how much we're selling this guy today.
I think historically baseball sells its prospects better than anyone, but they all do it, so they have to know. But it's always that guy in AAA.
Oh, yeah.
You ought to see him, and he's the linchpin to any deal, and then he can't splash water.
That's right.
When you get him, there's been a lot of cases of that. But don't we know enough about Flaherty now that I don't think a big developing next great chapter is about to happen, is it?
It seems like the other way, though.
Why are these teams buying on Flaherty?
I have no idea.
They want a guy that just puts runners on base?
Maybe they're sold on that fastball. I mean,
I don't get it.
I don't either.
I don't understand.
Well, he works in places as a third or maybe a great fourth.
Sure. But it's unfortunate that here in St. Louis, he has to be a 1 or a 2. So, I mean,
And he's not that anywhere.
No, he just isn't.
He's not that with Wainwright 30 years old.
Well, that's an interesting point you bring up about the prospects and the way that they're touted like that. Here's another example of that, kind of the opposite way. The Marlins Yuri Perez, they had a pitcher that was unbelievable, a young prospect, only 20 years old, come up there and was pitching unbelievable. He'd end up throwing more innings this year than he had ever thrown since he had signed as a professional baseball player, so they shut him down for the year. He's not pitching anymore, and the Marlins have struggled since sending him down. So now the rhetoric with the Marlins is that this 20-year-old got sent down. Oh, it's destroyed their season. They can't win anymore.
So all the
since the All-Star break.
Once a week.
So that's almost the opposite thing, where it's not that we got to call this guy up. Well, maybe it is we got to call this guy to do well. It's the same idea, but it's we got to taste this guy. He was really good, and since we sent him down, now that's why they're terrible.
The long baseball season, it's catching a couple of teams. Right now, I think it's really chewing on Arizona and Miami pretty well. Yeah. It's gotten Tampa Bay. They can rally, get through the dog days of early August. They sure can rally. But the test of time, and used to when there wasn't that many playoffs tickets to punch, it really was the strong test. But for the Cardinals, it doesn't feel like any deal will put them in a position where a year from now it's slam dunk they're in the postseason, does it?
No.
I don't know. I don't know what hypothetical deal we come up with, but I like the lineup.
I do like the lineup.
I think they're pitchers, plural, away, but I like the lineup. So maybe so. My answer could potentially be yes. It depends on the deal.
But it's a maybe right now.
All right. I like third and I like first, but that's what's going to get you something back. Those two. What is it about second and short you like?
I like that Tommy puts a bat on the baseball, and I like his versatility in the field. He's consistently one of the highest WAR-producing fielders in Major League Baseball. And
if you put him at second and leave him, but they have to ask him to do so much.
Center field even, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
That's so true.
But
that's valuable.
Dylan Carlson, to be decided on Jordan Walker. I'm not throwing him overboard in a rookie season, but
well, that's the argument to trade Goldie too, Brett, is that Jordan Walker needs a place to play because he's certainly not an outfielder. So that people are saying they should sell Goldie because you get the home at first then. But Goldie's an MVP. I mean, that's a big sell. I mean, I understand you got to sell to get something back. But you don't always have to sell the most valuable player. I mean, when the Marlins did that with Giancarlo Stanton, granted, they also sold the future MVP, and then Marcelo Ozuna, who's a good piece on another team, ridiculed a great deal for it.
Yeah.
And Jay Morgan, I wasn't cracking on you when you were talking about Arias around 400. I was not. I just know that test of time, it always catches up with them. There are some of those sainted baseball numbers that will be broken someday. Yeah. That's not one of them, and 112 by Bob Gibson's not going to be broken. There are a couple that are never getting touched. There are some. I mean, we see home runs. People doing it are getting close even to the Bonds number. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anybody ever touches 400, especially with these relief pitchers now, these guys that can come in that 7th, 8th, and 9th inning that are such specialists.
Oh, yeah.
Brett, I know we got to take a break. Also, Cal Ripken Jr. consecutive games, not going to do it. But one more thing I wanted to bring up while we're talking about baseball is you and I both really like the Padres and the Guardians coming out of the All-Star break to make a run in their division. And they both embarrassed us yesterday, losing to the Pirates, who are the worst-hitting team in baseball this month, and the Guardians lost to the Royals yesterday. Speaking of the dog days, those two teams seem like they're going through some dog days right now.
And no shocker, Bednar's out there in deals with the Pirates. We call that late May. As soon as the Pirates settled in after the pretty good little start, we knew they weren't going to keep him. They just can't. They got to get something back.
They really do. They'll be able to get something back, I think. But the Padres, it really is a shame, kind of. Those bats.
Are you seeing this on Northwestern? No players going to media days.
Really?
They announced they're not going to show at Big Ten.
Interesting. I mean, maybe good, seeing as the president and nobody else has stepped up and actually taking questions and talked about it. Why put these 18, 19, 20-year-olds? It's crazy.
Where is Derek Gregg? Where is that guy?
It's ridiculous. But this is a great topic that we can talk about with Brent Beard in our next segment. So let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk some college football with Brent Beard.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
The first name in Memphis Italian food, it's Ronnie Grizzani's in Regalia. Lunch, the Italian favorites with crisp cold Miss Mary salad, lobster tower, fried green tomatoes, the crab stack, Monday through Saturday for lunch. Ronnie Grizzani's Catering, check out the lunch catering guide at ronniegrizzani.com. The Elfo Special, salad, Italian bread for $14 per person. Ronnie Grizzani's, they'll bring it to you. 901-850-0191. Pick up a pan of lasagna at Ronnie Grizzani's at Regalia, or check out the bulk menu at ronniegrizzani.com. Get your favorites at home. Chicken Alfredo, ravioli, Italian spinach, curbside pickup, delivery to your door. Free within 4 miles of Regalia. The bar, stay cool with the cocktail list. Steaks, the 8-ounce gorgonzola and bacon wrap filet. Try it, thank me later. In High Point Grocery, Super Low on Spotswood and Goodman Road, and Buster's Liquors. Make lunch or dinner easy at Ronnie Grizzani's, a Memphis tradition since 1909.
Buying a diamond here in Memphis just got a whole lot easier and a lot less expensive. Genesis Diamonds has arrived, now open at Poplar Commons. This is the game-changing concept that will forever change the jewelry scene here. With a gorgeous showroom, a selection that's up to 30 times ordinary stores, no middleman direct importer pricing, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the industry. Genesis Diamonds, started by a former diamond wholesaler, was voted 13 consecutive years best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Now we've arrived in Memphis with a no-stress, no-pressure, non-commission sales environment with exceptional quality and prices that will blow you away. Genesis showcases hand-picked diamonds from the best cutters around the world and the finest American-made designer rings from top names like Tacori and Verragio, plus the largest selection of earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, as well as luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Don't buy a diamond engagement ring or any diamond jewelry anywhere until you discover this exciting new concept. Genesis Diamonds, now open in Poplar Commons.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop here on Sports 56, real sports talk.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and joining us now from First Coast News in Jacksonville to talk some college football, Brent Beard joins us now. Brent, thanks for joining us. We talked about it a little bit before we ended our last hour, but the news coming out that Northwestern will not send any players to Big Ten Media Days. What do you think about this decision? I think it might be a good one, seeing as no adults from the school have really stepped up and talked about this situation.
Well, look, I appreciate the dilemma, but I think you've got to have representatives there in order. I think you owe that to your fan base, frankly, that they need to hear. They need to hear from somebody on that football team. So that is unfortunate that they won't be. I think is a mistake. I mean, that's their deal. But the good and the bad, when you either get a scholarship or you get big money as a coach, I think to be fair with the media and to talk to your fans, look, all that they can say, I don't know anything about it, or it's under investigation. Now let's take football and go from there.
Yeah, and Brent, we were texting earlier today. I know you cover the ACC so well in Jacksonville, and always keep eye on things. From that point of view, I was surprised that Jim Phillips got away with from the main stage, from the dais, of kind of waving off of, I've already addressed that, no other questions about it, and nobody followed up for that. Now, I don't want to indict the entire room because I don't like the entire room at the SEC being lumped in as kind of one group, those SEC voters. The rest of that room doesn't represent me, so I don't want to do that to the ACC people either, but You got to follow up, even though he swatted it away, don't you? Because their contention is everybody knew. Well, now the chancellor is saying the current AD is not going to be fired, Derek Gregg, for any reason. No, there's no reason. There's no way they're firing him. The former commissioner or the former AD at Northwestern, now the commissioner of the ACC, he's saying he didn't do it. Well, how did everybody know then?
Yeah, well, and look, something akin to what you are talking about surprised me at SEC Media Days, that more people did not ask Kirby Smart about the off-the-field stuff at Georgia. I mean, I know there are a lot of Georgia media in the room, but I mean, he addressed a little bit of the situation with the traffic tickets and being arrested for speeding, but there was really virtually nothing said about the story about almost a dozen players being involved with violence toward women in the allegations made by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I know some of that was amended, and I know they fired the writer, but to your point, Brett, and the media used to be really pretty good about this. Well, if you can't get in this door, we're going to circle around and go in another way about it. And on neither instance that we're talking about did that happen.
And Brett, there's a lot of reasons as to why that is. One of the bigger reasons are all the different fan sites, all the different cozy hometown podcasters, and it gives the public a chance of, if you're let's say here, if I'm being hard on Tennessee, hey, I'll go find somebody that's being nice to us. If I'm being hard on Ole Miss or Arkansas or the Tigers or anybody, we'll go find somebody that's saying exactly what I want to hear.
Well, don't we need a balance in there somewhere?
I think so.
To where we've got, I get the fact that I just want to hear about the on-the-field stuff, but we can't ignore the other because it's out there, and it's either happened or the least allegations to it. So we need to deal with that too.
Well, I know we talked to you on Tuesday at SEC Media Days, but after all 4 days, what was kind of your biggest takeaway from SEC Media Days?
I think one thing that were the number of coaches who admitted that they were no longer going to be calling the plays. I thought that was rather interesting. That was something that took a few days to digest. For instance, Hugh Freeze admitting that he was going to not call plays, but it's not that he doesn't have input, but that Philip Montgomery, the offensive coordinator, is going to be the one to call plays. Now, Billy Napier said that he was, because that basically his personality and what he does with that. And another one was the Missouri situation. Eli Drinkwitz said the same thing, that he wanted Kirby Moore, who came in from Fresno State, to call the plays, because he said at the end of last year we were ineffective on the offensive side of the ball. I was not giving us the best advantage. I give Eli a lot of credit. How many coaches would admit that?
Not a lot.
Not a lot, very, very few. Brent Beard, our guest from First Coast News down in Jacksonville. It was great being with you last week. I thought Nashville crushed it, but I've got a simple solution for all the people so mad over the Vanderbilt voters. And here's the deal, Brent. Let's make the voting public. If you vote, it can be released, and your name is on it. That's really simple.
I would rather deal with that than try to decide, we're not going to let so-and-so in and get petty about that.
Isn't it something, the number of people wanting to be the hall monitor and decide who gets in and who doesn't?
Yeah. And look, that's ridiculous to me. I mean, you've got to have an event, and fortunately, Media Days has done this, is they have been given a lot of latitude to people and let them in, let them get some interviews, let them get some pictures that may frankly jumpstart a career that they normally would not have access. No, I think that's that would be a really good way to deal with. And I mean, again, what Brett's talking about, 8 people actually voted Vandy to win the East, and 5 of them picked them to win the SEC. So, I mean, we know that's not going to happen, and that voting like that shouldn't happen. But it's a free world, and people can do what they want to. But yes, if you had names by all 8 of those votes, that either wouldn't happen again or probably wouldn't have happened before.
I didn't vote like that. I wouldn't vote like that, but you have every right to vote like that. And I think all these people now that are wanting to revoke credentials and, kind of have some litmus test on who does and who doesn't get in, I bet they're the same people that in the grocery store during COVID, mask up over your nose, get your mask up over your nose.
Oh, yes. And
those goofballs.
That would be the fairest way to be able to deal with this. I mean, Auburn got 4 votes to win the East and to win the conference championship. So did Arkansas.
That's as nuts as Vanderbilt, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, and look, you've got all 3 of those group of voters. There's no way in the world that's probably going to happen. I mean, yes, they've got the right to express that, but if we knew who voted for what and who, that would make a difference. Yes.
I'd even go so far right now. The SEC, they could release mine from last week right now.
Yeah, sure. I understand that.
Talking to Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. He joins us every week to talk college football. And we mentioned it to start this segment, but ACC Media Days going on right now. And this afternoon, I saw Brent Key and a couple of his players talk for Georgia Tech at Media Days. And I really got me. I mean, all these coaches get me excited about football season, but kind of what he's done, turning a 3-9 team. Last year, they were 5-7. What do you expect from just this Georgia Tech team this year? They knocked off 2 ranked teams last year. Do you think there could be some positive momentum going into this year?
Oh, there has to be, frankly. Now, I don't think anyone's going to give them real credit and going to be expecting them to do a whole lot at this point. But look, part of the reason that's working is Brent Key is a really good fit on that football team. That they brought LaMiles Brooks, their defensive back, Jordan Williams, their offensive lineman, and Sylvain Jordan is also there. So, and that will be fun to see them do a little bit. Now they're not running the shall we say the wing T in order to get it done as they have in the past. And people may forget this. The ACC this year is not. They do not have divisions. It's all just one big group. Now, most of the magazines have got Georgia Tech 5-7, 3-5, which, frankly, if they could hover around 500 over the next 2 or 3 years, I think that'd be some real momentum for Brent Key.
Yeah.
When will the U be back?
Well, we talk about that a lot. I don't. You almost can say the same thing about Texas. These schools aren't going to be back until they win some championships. And there are a lot of things with the U. Now, that to their credit, they've got Shannon Dawson in there as the offense coordinator. Tyler Van Dyke's going to be throwing to more of the backs because they're running the air raid. But Van Dyke last year at times wasn't very good either. What concerns me about Cristobal is a good recruiter, but there are a lot of people. But he's still growing as a head coach. Can I say it that way? Mm-hmm. Because there were he did this against Miami. He's got a. This happens to him. It probably happens to a lot of coaches, but where at 1 or 2 times during the year, nothing works, and I mean nothing. They're not good on offense, defense, or special teams. Can't get a running game going. Can't do anything, and they lose a game that they're not supposed to lose. So that's one of those things he's going to have to push beyond at some point. But they're nowhere near being back at this point. I mean, I think there'll be some better, but right now, I mean, generally now they're predicted about 4th. Around 8-4, 5-3. They're not better than Florida State. They're not better than Clemson, and probably not North Carolina, particularly with the quarterback North Carolina's got May. But they still got to get an on-campus stadium one day. Mm-hmm. They've still got to get better facilities. Now, some people have stubbed up with that, but Miami's in there with several schools right now who are begging to be back.
Yeah. Well, and one of the teams that's going to talk tomorrow that I'm kind of intrigued about going into the year, that's Duke. After a 9-4 record last year, they bring 8 starters back on offense, including their starting quarterback, their starting running back, all of their starting receivers from last year. So this could be a team that has another really good season, but they do have to go to Florida State and to North Carolina, also a home game against Notre Dame after a 9-4 season last year, and bringing back what they bring back offensively. Do you think we'll kind of see them continue the success that they had last year?
That'd be fun to see, wouldn't it? What Elko has done. I mean, Elko's really gone up the ladder and done it well from Notre Dame to A&M to Duke. This Riley Leonard at quarterback's really a good athlete and a good quarterback. I mean, some of the preview magazines have got them at 8-5, around 5th. My Stars guys, if they have back-to-back what you would call really good years, I think that would be impressive. Now, let me do say this, because I like him, and I'll be honest about this. David Cutcliffe was around a good bit during media days, and I hope David gets some credit for what Mike Elko is building on. I mean, they weren't great all the time, and we know that, but I still think David Cutcliffe's a good football coach, and I think he'll do a good job for the SEC, as he's proven that, and as he interviewed on several different radio stations. But good. Yeah, Brian, that's a good point. If Duke's better, that would make the league better, and people really giving them more than just a glance.
Mm-hmm. I like how the ACC opening weekend, week 1, not week 0, but the real heft of opening weekend, They're going to have a game every day that weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They're going to be out there, and the feature game that Sunday night, LSU and FSU, both of those teams much better than last year, and this one decides early pecking order.
It's a great game. I will be at that game and looking forward to it. And people may miss this, but ESPN Game Day is going to Charlotte for that opener with South Carolina and North Carolina. When you're talking about Drake May and Spencer Rattler, depending on which Rattler you get, the one at the beginning of the year, the one at the end of the year last year. Now this is amazing, guys, and it kind of tells you where both teams have been. South Carolina has not been featured on game day in 9 years, and North Carolina has not been featured on game day in 13.
Wow. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
I couldn't have told you either one of those. Good nugget.
Not at all.
So that's one of those things to where that's when you're rebuilding, right? That's a pretty good litmus test to let you know where they've been. And again, for UNC, look, everybody likes Mac, and I get that. But they and Drake May, anybody would love to have Drake May, who is their quarterback. But they've got to do something, guys, about their defense. Their defense has been awful, and the sooner that is taken care of, and we thought Gene Chizik may be able to take care of that too. But unfortunately, it is still in the formative stages, so we say.
Brent, I'm going to use Lindy's preseason magazine, his first, second, and third place teams for the ACC and for the SEC. I'm going to use that for this question. In the ACC, his first team quarterback's Drake May, second team quarterback Jordan Travis, third team Cade Klubnik at Clemson. For the SEC, first teamer Jaden Daniels, second team KJ Jefferson, third team the aforementioned Spencer Rattler. Which one do you go with is better, the ACC trio or the threesome from the SEC?
I tell you, I would almost go with the ACC, frankly.
I would too.
Because the ones you mentioned for the SEC are really good quarterbacks, but the reality of it is, and it wasn't all his fault, but as good as LSU was last year, they still lost some games toward the end of the year. And frankly, Drake May is just tremendous. And we saw up close personal what Jordan Travis can do as a true dual threat. And Cade Klubnik's much better, I think, than DJU was at Clemson. You don't say that very often, but listen, I would in that list that you made, and I certainly respect what Lindy's does with their evaluations. I'm not sure you couldn't pick some better quarterbacks. Would Will Rogers? Would he be? Let me put it this way: would he be as good as anybody in that threesome? Someone like
sure
that?
Could be.
So
I think the knock on Will Rogers is because of his size. He is a smaller player, but the ball always gets out to the right guy.
It does, and I'm very curious with them not running the air raid this year and him throwing the ball down the field. How much better at that point is he going to be? So, but look, we've got a lot of question marks. And, the Brady Cook at Missouri, Graham Mertz at Florida, whoever the Alabama quarterback is going to be, Jackson Dart. I still think some of those guys could really, before the end of the year, some of those guys may be the real deal and surprise a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, Brent, Jim Phillips today, to start media days, he kind of talked about the state of the ACC and kind of where they stand as a conference. And when you look around with all of the expansion, the ACC really has been the conference that has remained untouched. But we've talked a lot about kind of that uncertainty a couple months ago with the media rights deal. He said the league is healthy. How healthy do you think the ACC is?
Well, I'll say this, and basically everybody knows it. If they didn't have that media rights deal, there are a lot of those teams that would have been gone by now. I mean, let's just be upfront and honest about that. That's just the reality. I thought this league was really taking off a few years ago, and they just really went back to kind of where they were to some degree, meaning they need Syracuse to be better. My goodness, both the Virginia teams need to be better. It's really hurt that league that Virginia Tech has not improved. Boston College at times, Pitt. Now, Louisville may be better with Braum. I think that's going to be fun to be able to see that. But Jim Phillips' best friend right now is at Grant of Rights. That goes to 2036. But I do hope, for the sake of that league, that they would make more of a commitment, even than what they've done, to football, to kind of similar to what the SEC did in basketball, and for that league to be much better again soon.
Yeah. Well, Brent, thank you so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun talking a lot about ACC and their media days going on right now, and we'll do it again next week.
Good, guys. Always enjoy it. And, Brett, my brother, it was joyful to be able to spend time with you last week. That's for sure.
So much fun. Thank you, Brent. We'll talk next week. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
You got it. Brent Beard, our friend from Jacksonville, from First Coast News on all things college football. And I know this, last week at Media Days, love having the Butcher Shop as part of our team for SEC Media Days coverage. And this Friday, I know what we're doing. We're going to Hamburger Friday at the Butcher Shop for sure. And since 1981, the Butcher Shop with those grain-fed Midwest beef, aged 6 weeks in house, the best T-bone in town. I love a T-bone. Fillets, ribeyes, all at 107 South Germantown Parkway. And Fresh Burger Friday. That's where you need to go. Go to thebutchershop.com or call 901-757-4244 and tell them Sports 56 WHBQ sent you. Private dining for those special events, and then they can comfortably seat up to 200 in the ballroom. And the Fresh Burger Friday, we're there. And the Sunday lunch, cheeseburgers, chicken sandwiches, brats, fries, tots. The Sunday lunch, it must start with the mimosas, homemade meatloaf, and a perfect kids menu. Your favorite no-frills spot for steaks, burgers, chops, seafood, and more. 6 different private party rooms. The Butcher Shop at 107 South Germantown Parkway since 1981. Serving Memphis and the Mid-South. Go to butchershop.com.
Well, we talked a lot of ACC with Brent Beard, but let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk some AAC Media Days with Joe Hoyt from the Dallas Morning News.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Hey gang, King Curly here talking about Hotsy of Memphis. Located at 2732 Old Austin P is now hiring. We are the leader in industrial cleaning equipment, accessories, detergents, and car detailing supplies, and we need qualified mechanics and salespeople to join our winning team. Mechanics need a basic understanding of small engine repair, electronics, and product assembly. Sales applicants need basic computer skills, communication skills, and have a professional attitude. We offer competitive pay, benefits, and weekends off. Applicants must have a valid driver's license and be drug-free. Dress for success and apply in person at 2732 Old Austin P in Memphis. Hotsy of Memphis. Come join the area's leading pressure washing and detail supply team. Hotsy, 2732 Austin P in Memphis.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Grapevine Liquor and Wine has the largest selection of bourbon in North Mississippi and wines from all over the world. Let Jimmy the Delta Boy help you select the perfect spirit or wine to impress. Whether you're looking for the best price or a certain flavor profile, Grapevine Liquor and Wines has it. If you want good Southern treatment and the hottest prices, Grapevine Liquor and Wine, Getwell Road, South Haven.
Hotty toddy, gosh almighty, where do you get your bourbon? Flim flam, bim bam, Grapevine, by damn.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
All 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage. Sportage P718, 2870, MSRP 28185. Seltos R752, 4361, MSRP 26015. Forte PG 211771, MSRP 21910. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 7/31/23. Dealer stock only. Warranties are limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear things are heating up over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
It's the hottest pricing we've ever had, Randy. 2023 Kia Forte gets 41 MPG highway at only $259 a month. $27.99 do-it signing, and a 2023 Sportage vacation ready at $308 a month. $34.99 do-it signing. Both 36-month lease.
And how about the new 2024 Seltos LX?
$295 a month with $29.99 do-it signing and 24-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty to boot.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and joining us now from the Dallas Morning News to talk about the American Athletic Conference and their media days that took place in Arlington today. Joe Hoyt joins us now. You can follow Joe on Twitter at Joe J. Hoyt. Joe, thanks so much for joining us, and I got to start off with my favorite part of American Athletic Conference Media Days today. It was Biff Poggi, when talking to the media, got frustrated that he was only asked 3 questions by the media, said he was going to use it as a bulletin board material for his team. And then I go to your Twitter page and see that right after that, he goes outside and lights a cigar while leaving AAC Media Days. What'd you think of Biff today?
Yeah, Biff's a character. I guess we'll start there. First, thanks for having me on. But on that note, I mean, I get it. When you're picked last, it kind of lights a fire under you, and I guess Biff took that fire and lit a cigar with it. But it was, excuse me, sorry. But yeah, it was hot out there, too. It was 102 degrees, and honestly, that kind of shocked me. But hey, man, Biff's going to do what Biff's going to do.
I love it.
Goes Red R back on the AAC Media Days. I like that. Joe Hoyt, our guest. And Joe, the vote was released, and it had Memphis 4th. That's about where I would have them. Do you think Tulane was the overwhelming one based more on last year or really the prospects for this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think Tulane kind of earned the right to be the preseason favorite based on what they did last year. I think that run they had was pretty unforgettable, especially in the minds of voters when it kind of came down to it. And on top of that, they did bring in some good transfers. They have Michael Pratt back. I think the question is how much can Michael Pratt kind of dominate this offense without Tajay Spears and some other guys that they lost. But they definitely kind of earned the right to be the champions, the preseason pick. I had them as my number one. And followed by SMU because I think SMU's got a lot of talent. But the tiebreaker for me kind of strictly was what Tulane did a year ago.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about SMU. They picked 3rd in the media poll, but you look at this team, and a lot of people really excited about what this offense can do. But you're losing Tanner Mordecai. In comes quarterback Preston Stone. Tell me a little bit about Preston and what you think he can bring to this offense.
Yeah, I think, when you talk about Preston Stone, I think you got to lead with what he was as a high school recruit. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, this is a guy that chose Texas over SMU. And that's not like hey, he had Texas offers, early on, kind of lost it. It was non-committable, but it was on his 24/7 sports page. No, this was a guy that chose SMU over Texas, over Alabama, over Oklahoma, early on at least. He had some elite options. He was a 4-year starter in high school, 4-time state champion, high school All-American. He's an SMU legacy, and so ultimately he kind of decided to go the family route, stay home, be close to home. And so there's a lot of hype around Preston Stone. And, if you go back and watch his one start last year, when Tanner Mordecai missed a game with a concussion, it was against Tulsa. In the first play of the game, he threw a 75-yard touchdown to Rasheed Rice. He ended up breaking his collarbone, though, in the second quarter on a scramble. And if you kind of watch him, that's kind of what he likes to do. He likes to move around, likes to get out of the pocket, likes to kind of, show off his wiggle. And so I think that's going to be something I'm going to be watching this year is how much that broken collarbone kind of sticks with him in terms of his scrambling ability. But this is a guy with a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. And if you kind of look at this SMU offense, there's a lot of weapons at his disposal as well. So it's something that has generated a lot of hype for the start of the Stone era here in Dallas.
Two of the first 4 for the Ponies, really tough. At Oklahoma, at TCU. Opening day is not easy against Louisiana Tech, but those 2 road trips at Norman week 2 and right there in the Metroplex against TCU in week 4.
Yeah, that is a tough start, and that's kind of something that SMU head coach Rhett Lashley talked a lot about today is, hey, we want Preston to be Preston, and he's gonna get his litmus test pretty early on. Yeah. He's going to get his challenges early on against Oklahoma and a TCU team that, obviously defensively can get after you. We saw that all last year. And even though they lost a lot of talent, they still have a lot of guys there with that defense ready to run and ready to get after the quarterback. So 4 very tough games, which I think kind of will give SMU a good barometer of where they are heading into the American Athletic Conference. A schedule where they don't play Tulane or UTSA, the 2 teams that were picked ahead of them. So I think that kind of bodes well for SMU heading into this year.
Joe, in a wild one last year with TCU in the battle for the skillet, is that right?
Yep, the Iron Skillet.
Yeah. and kind of the old Southwest Conference roots. Did you think last year TCU was going to be a team playing on the last night of the year of college football when you saw them in that wild game against SMU?
I did not. And to be honest with you, it's kind of one of those things where I think TCU really has to kind of, hit people over the head with the idea of, hey, we're not going anywhere. I think there was always this kind of sprinkle of doubt about the Horned Frogs, about what team they were, how far could they go. And I think a big reason why was the fact that the quarterback that brought them there was not even the one that was chosen out of fall camp to be the starter. Yeah. It was Chandler Morris, who's going to be their starter this year. He earned the starting job. Max Duggan went from, veteran with a lot of experience to the bench. Early on, Chandler gets hurt with a knee injury. Here comes Max Duggan, and the rest is history. I mean, ends up bringing him to a national championship and finishing second in the Heisman voting. So I think it was one of those things where there was always this sprinkle of doubt about TCU until they had kind of shown you, hey, you got to stop doubting us because all we're going to do is keep winning.
Yeah. Talking about the Memphis Tigers, obviously we talk a lot of Tigers here, but kind of a different point of view. I want to get your thoughts on this year's team, and I know one of the main points of emphasis today at Media Days and really this offseason is those late game, just finishing games for this Tiger team. I remember that SMU game last year at the very end of the year. The Tigers kind of come back late in the third and fourth quarter. They have the ball late in the fourth quarter with an opportunity to either tie or go up, and they just can't get it done late. For you, what are your kind of thoughts of this Memphis team going into 2023?
Yeah, it's a great question. That game last year was interesting because if you would have told me that SMU was going to win a game, on a red zone interception when the other team had a chance to go out and win the game, I would have told you you're lying because, that was just kind of not SMU's story last year in terms of defense and / finishing. But that was an incredible game. And, I think Memphis this year, I think one thing with college football, and I think you're going to see a lot of preseason polls kind of get thrown out really quick because we really don't know with this era of the transfer portal exactly what teams are going to be, come midway through the season. It's kind of a reloaded roster, or at least the opportunity to reload every single season. And I think that's one thing that, in terms that might kind of bode well for Memphis, to be honest with you, is the fact that despite all this change, they still have Seth Hennigan at quarterback, who is from Dallas, from Denton, who I covered in high school when I was a high school sports reporter here. And I think that he's got, he's pretty much shown that he's got the ability to run an offense and really direct all these weapons. And so I think that's a big reason why I think Memphis has a good chance this year. And I think if you look back at last year's media poll, Tulane was picked 7th, right? Yeah. Ended up going out and proving everyone wrong and winning the American and beating USC in the Cotton Bowl. And I think kind of in this transfer portal era, it's almost like, hey, who's going to be the Tulane this year? Who's going to be the team that kind of comes out and really shocks everyone? And I think if you look at teams with returning quarterbacks, that's kind of a good place to start your search.
Joe, let's get the crystal ball out. In 3 years, where do you think SMU's playing in college sports? What league?
Is there an NCAA in 3 years?
I hope there's not one in 3 minutes.
Good, you're right. I think it's kind of a tough question. I think they're in the Pac-12. That's I think the odds are bet. I've been confident, talking to SMU people who, to be honest with you, are pretty closed on this idea. About the idea of realignment. It's been a pretty kind of short list of who's actually in the know and who's actually making action at SMU. But long story short, you talk to people in the know or around the know, and everyone's been confident about SMU, the Pac-12. And it's kind of just, hey, just let the Pac-12 do their media deal and the rest will fall into place. Well, the Pac-12 has kind of taken a little bit of time with that media deal. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's you think about when USC and UCLA announced they were leaving for the Big Ten. That's over a year ago now. Maybe it feels like it, maybe it feels longer. I know SMU fans have been watching the clock and watching Pac-12 stuff, waiting for a media deal to come, and it really hasn't yet. So I still think that happens, don't get me wrong, but the idea of how long it's taken is kind of hard to ignore, at least from a feeling perspective. So if I had to guess, I'd say SMU's in the Pac-12. And, hey, I mean, I know Memphis is another team that would like to get up into a Power 5 level, and I don't think realignment's going to really stop after this year either.
It never stops. Last thing for Joe Hoyt from the Dallas Morning News, on the beat for SMU football and also for AAC Media Days this week in Arlington. Joe, I know on game day you got a lot of things to do other than judging tailgate and pregame festivities, but I had an SMU partisan last week tell me he says pound for pound the best tailgate scene in college football is right there at Highland Park at SMU. Agree or disagree?
I mean, I'm not surprised that it's an SMU person that told you that. I think the Boulevard is awesome. I've walked it. One thing I like to do before games is really just kind of walk around the parking lot, tailgate scene, whether it's in home or away, and really just kind of get a vibe for the feeling. And and that's football. You know what I mean? And that's fun. And that's part of the experience. And I think the Boulevard's an incredible experience. I think there's some great ones in college football. You think of Ole Miss. I went to Oregon, and I know the Oregon tailgate scene is very fun as well. USC, some other good places. Washington, you can tailgate on a boat, which is very cool. So I think SMU's got a really, really good one. Whether it's the best is kind of up for whatever eyes, I guess, are kind of taking in that tour.
Joe, I always felt for y'all and admired from afar the Oregon students when they would have game day that's coming on the air at 8 in the Central Time Zone, 6 Pacific, and we know it gets started really earlier than showtime. Were you out in that throng a lot of times?
A lot of mimosas were the pregame.
Good call.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Joe, thank you so much. This is a lot of fun catching up about the American Athletic Conference.
Let's do it again.
Definitely do it again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Should be a fun season. Look forward to talking to you guys more.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe Hoyt from the Dallas Morning News joining us to talk about the AAC Media Days down in Arlington and a little bit about SMU. You're right, Brett, but those Oregon game days, it's impressive to see it so packed that early in the morning.
I promise you, a good friend of mine last week, he was saying, he said, Brett, I've been to the Grove. I know all that. He said, pound for pound, it's better at SMU than anywhere. And I've had parents of friends of their children, friends of mine, that have gone there and talked about how great it is there.
Yeah, I've been to SMU tailgates, but it was a while ago when they weren't very good, so I don't think that's a good litmus test. I need to go back again, and I'll bring a full report on how the tailgate scene is at SMU. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, now in West Tennessee. Offices at 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard and in Collierville. Contact Brooks Winchester at 901-498-5763 for commercial, residential, and recreational needs. A division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. First National Bank and Trust customers can depend on them because they know real estate, personal banking, business banking, online banking, and the mobile app. All at First National Bank and Trust.
Do you know what brand sells the most work shoes in America? Skechers. Why? Skechers has the best looking safety toe and slip resistant shoes around. They've got superior quality and simply incredible prices, but many people get them just for the style. So you can enjoy tough, steel-toed protection and slip resistant soles anywhere, even if you don't need them for work. And since they're Skechers, you know they're going to be comfortable with Skechers exclusive air-cooled memory foam. Find your new pair of Skechers safety toe and slip resistant work shoes at a Skechers store, at Skechers.com, or wherever work shoes are sold.
Attention, everyone. Family Leisure needs your help clearing out their inventory. Let me say that again. Family Leisure is needing your help to clear out their inventory. And to do so, there are tons of great deals throughout the store. For example, all do-it-yourself pools are $1,000 off. Special 24-foot round pools for less than $2,000. Select play gyms, only $18.99. Hey, if you need patio furniture, they have patio furniture that's now up to 30% off. Spas are in stock. They're up to $1,200 off. Now listen up, because I'm only going to say this once. 24 months, same as cash financing, is now available through this sale. Family Leisure needs your help clearing out their inventory, so come and do your part at Family Leisure. Whitten Road and I-40, where family and fun come together.
Your next success begins with University of Maryland Global Campus, an accredited state university for more than 75 years. UMGC has been giving working adults the affordable, online education you need to reach the future you want. Because the path to success is different for everyone, we offer more than 125 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, along with success coaches and lifetime career services. Our online and hybrid courses let you learn on your schedule. No-cost digital materials in place of most textbooks, affordable tuition, and financial resources make UMGC accessible. You know what it feels like to succeed. We'll help you succeed again. Too late isn't in your vocabulary. Reach your next goal at University of Maryland Global Campus. Apply now and save with no application fee. Undergraduate and most graduate courses start August 16th. Learn more at umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.
Summer's here and Gossett Kia on the Pike has the hottest deals you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Hit the highway with 41 MPG Highway 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $259 a month, $27.99 due at signing. 2023 Sportage LX 308 a month, $34.99 due at signing. And 2023 World Performance Car 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. EPA estimated range 310 miles, $499 a month, $49.99 due at signing. All 36-month leases plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte PE 641,916, MSRP 21,910. Sportage P718 2870, MSRP 28,185. EV6 P510 5073, MSRP 49,965. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 7/31/23. Dealer stock only. Warranties. A limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Y'all fired up about y'all's big number today? Y'all got good big numbers today?
I like my big number.
Well, Brett, why don't you go first then?
I'll be glad to.
All
My
right.
big number is 7, lucky number 7. That's the number of bowl wins in Tulane football history, all time 7 and 8, but none bigger than the Cotton Bowl to really ring in the new year. We were on there that day, that January 2nd, and as if we were trying to be neutral, we weren't. We were pulling as hard as it felt like a lot of the rest of the country was pulling that day for Willie Fritz Green Wave in their win over USC. They got that win. Tulane 7 and 8 all time in bowls. They've won a Cotton Bowl. They've won a Sugar Bowl. They've won a couple of Liberty Bowls, and they've been in a Rose Bowl. But the Cotton Bowl was the crowning moment for the Green Wave.
Oh yeah, I mean that was so much fun watching last year, and kind of obviously
that was this year. That was our first show of the year, Bryant. Remember? We were on there January 2nd during the game.
I remember being on that we were on air. I forgot it was the first show of the year. Great start to the year. It was Tulane Cotton Bowl win. That was a lot of fun watching it.
I'm looking forward to going to New Orleans to the game on campus at Yeoman. When I was talking about SMU earlier, I've only been to one SMU home game. I've seen SMU a bunch, but I've only seen them at home once, and that was at Texas Stadium in 82 in the famous 17-17 tie to Arkansas. I've been to SMU's campus and been by Ownby now, Gerald Ford, not the President Stadium, but I've never been to a game there.
It's I like their stadium. They got the little grassy hill in one of the
they call
end
it the
zones.
hill.
Yeah, I like their stadium a lot. Jay Morgan, I'll go next.
Yeah, please do. Change it up. But you go next.
But, okay, I'll change it. And I just want to preface this. I think you're going to call my big number lazy. So I have a backup big number if you think this one's too lazy. Just let me know. Just let me know what you think. My big number 16. I was watching the Women's World Cup last night, and Korean-American teenager Casey Fair became the youngest player to debut in a World Cup match at 16 years old. How about that?
Age?
How about that? 16
The big
years
number
old?
is the
That's
woman's
crazy.
age.
You're participating in the World Cup, the biggest
It can
stage
be
of soccer,
anything.
and you're 16 years old. You're barely a high schooler, and you're playing in the World Cup. That's unbelievable.
Seems lazy to me.
After Jay Morgan, I'm going to have a second big number, and it's going to be someone's age.
I'm going to have a second big number after you do your second big number because Jay Morgan called mine lazy. Jay Morgan, please.
I have two big numbers today as well,
of
but
course
they're
you have two big
tied together. So Jaylen Brown, he signed a $304 million contract over 5 years. It's a supermax deal for Jaylen Brown. I did the math, averaging out 66 games per year over that 5-year span, and about 32.5 minutes per game, which is what he's been averaging to this point. That equals out to $921,212.12 per game, and per minute, $28,344.99.
It's good to be.
That's nice work if you can get it, isn't it?
It really is.
It really
So those
is.
are my two big numbers today. Those $2 amounts for Jaylen Brown.
I love those. Mine's an age. It's sad, but it's also a celebration. Today, Johnny Lujak, who was the oldest remaining Heisman Trophy winner, oldest Heisman winner, he passed away at 98 years old. He won the Heisman in 1947. And I got to meet Johnny Lujak when I went to the Heisman in 1997, the year that Charles Woodson beat Peyton Manning at the Downtown Athletic Club. And I thought he was, seasoned citizen then, but at 98 he passes away. It now leaves as the oldest winner of the Heisman, Terry Baker, who won it at Oregon State. He's 82 years young, and Terry Baker also holds the longest rushing touchdown in Liberty Bowl history for Oregon State. He had a 99-yard touchdown run, and he's also the only Heisman Trophy winner to ever play in a Final Four.
Really?
Terry Baker. Now the grand old man of the Heisman Trophy, Roger Staubach second. Boy, that'll make a lot of people feel old out there. Roger Staubach at 81. John Hurett with Memphis WFL background. He's 79. Mike Garrett, 79. And Steve Spurrier, 78.
Wow. My last big number, Jay Morgan, I think you'll really enjoy this one. Big number 10. Luke Weaver, in his last 10 starts, has an 8.79 ERA. But the Reds as a team in those 10 games are 9-1. That is unbelievable. That's the highest ERA in a 10-game start span for a pitcher whose team won at least 9 of those games in a span since ERA became official in 1913. So that just shows how good the Reds have been down this stretch with all of this young talent. They have Luke Weaver with a huge ERA, but still that team winning games.
I think the Reds win today.
Really?
A free one for you.
Against the Brewers, a free one. We love
that was a great
play.
game last night.
It really was.
Regardless who you're pulling for.
Yeah, it was a fun game. But let's go ahead and get to a break, finish this hour. When we come back to start our third and final hour, Bo Marchant will join us to talk some NFL.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Hey, Hey Mid-South, the Mitsubishi Summer Sales Event has never been hotter than right now at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. How about 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander? 7 seats, 27 mpg combined. We Gossett at $449 a month. Or get ready to take your pick from 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander or 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, 420 total range, 64 combined MPGe. Get ready to ride for just $499 a month at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. And you'll always get peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Waste and excess mileage. Outlander PZ012158, MSRP 34555. Outlander SE PZ041164, MSRP 35585. PHEV PZ040302, 24 months, 12,000 miles per year. MSRP 48230. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax island license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Jim's Place Grill, over 100 years of charcoal grill steaks, over 100 years of celebrations, family time, and lasting memories. The Terrace family with their touch for our community. Recipes that date back to the beginning in downtown to now in Collierville at the railroad tracks at Poplar and Houston Levee. Online at jimsplacegrill.com. Don't forget the E in grill. Every steak grilled perfectly over an open flame. Come to Jim's Place and taste and see the difference. Lunch hours Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Dinner hours Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Since 1921, a Memphis landmark. Hard work, values, and a dedication to their diners. The Terrace family creates a memorable dining experience. Lunch menu, the staples like the souffle ma, shrimp cocktail, crab cakes, and those salad dressings, all homemade. Dinner, the calamari, soup, seafood, and those steaks, fillets, ribeyes, and strips. Fantastic bar area, all at Jim's Place Grill in Collierville.
My friends at Miramichi are always innovative. They've got a new thing going I think you're going to like. They have a staggered rate pertaining to what time of day it is. You can get a better price if you go in the later afternoon than you will in the morning or in the afternoon. From noon to 3, there is a $10 savings. There's about a $13 savings from 3 until close. You can't beat all of the innovations or the beauty at Miramichi. And folks are flocking. No longer can you get a membership. There's a waiting list, but that's how popular Miramichi has become. And why wouldn't it? You've got different levels of competition. You have 5 different tee boxes you can choose from ultra hard to ultra fun. The thing that's a constant is the beauty. The back 9 is like taking a walk through the woods with a meandering stream, and there's a waterfall you'll love. Everything about Miramichi is cool. Go check it out in Woodstock, 12 minutes north of downtown. It's Miramichi.
The FedEx Cup playoffs start in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Come out to TPC Southwind August 9th through the 13th and watch the PGA Tour's top players battle to make it through Memphis. Enjoy Memphis at its finest with specialty cocktails, local eats, a vibrant atmosphere, and much more. 2 kids 15 and under admitted free with a ticketed adult. Daily grounds and upgraded tickets are available now at FedExChampionship.com.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and joining us now like he does every week to talk the NFL. Bo Marchant joins us now. Bo, thanks for joining us. And I feel like this offseason, a lot of the conversation has been around the running back position. And over the weekend, there was a Zoom meeting with most of the prominent running backs in the National Football League. What did you think of that Zoom meeting and kind of their goal to get more money for that position?
Well, I do like how they came together collectively.
But on the other side, they have a collectively bargained agreement with the union and the league.
Yep.
So why it's good to, I think, represent yourselves internally, it's still going to come down to the CPA and them, expanding on what the problem is with the running backs. Listen, we talked about it last week, and this is probably the biggest topic around the National Football League is the running backs. Listen, Saquon Barkley, the last 2 years, or the previous two, he came back last year, missed a lot of time. Josh Jacobs, I remember being at the Hall of Fame game last year, and Josh Jacobs didn't start the game. And you're like, wow, they're going to trade him? What's the situation? He goes on, he leads the league in the NFL. But at the end of the day, Barkley coming out of Penn State, he was on fire. 2 very sour years. He rebounded last year. If Barkley doesn't rebound last year, this isn't even a topic. He's looking for work, but he played better. And the same with Josh Jacobs. He's been good, but last year he had a spectacular season. I think what we're getting caught up in is we're not talking about the premier guys, your Derrick Henrys, your Nick Chubbs, your Christian McCaffreys. We're talking about guys who are on the second tier that are looking for a higher tier. And I do think they deserve more. I will say that. But I do think we're caught in a little bit of a conundrum where these guys are looking for top dollars, but they're really not the top backs.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bo, and I don't see any other player grouping getting together, kind of wanting to unionize within the union. I'm sorry for these guys. I'm sorry that the sport has moved away from them almost being the face of the league like the running back position once was. Maybe to future generations, you need to be a cover corner instead of a tailback.
You're right. I mean, Brett, we're a little older than, I don't know the listen audience for Memphis Sports 56, but, when I grew up, I'm sure when you grew up, the running game was the predominant position on offense. Quarterback, then running back. Then you had your receivers. Everybody ran the ball. I mean, college, T-ball, wishbone. I mean, everything was built around the running game. We're not there right now. So it is a lot to digest. And when you look at the Aaron Jones, the Austin Ecklers, the guys who can catch the football out of the backfield, that's where you can kind of make a little bit extra. I know Aaron Jones took a pay cut. Eckler had to kind of fight to get a little bit of a boost. So it is a, I want to say just, it's a position that we know it's a position where NFL teams don't go the extra yard to maybe paying them what they might deserve. But at the end of the day, like I'm in Pittsburgh now. We have first-round pick Najee Harris out of Alabama. We have his backup out of Oklahoma State, an undrafted Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren averaged 4.9 yards per carry. In 2 years, Najee Harris has averaged 3.9 yards a carry. It's nothing that anyone who watches the Steelers can't say, like, hey, this Warren kid's pretty good. Mm-hmm. So now, if Harris has a good year or an average year, why are the Steelers going to overpay Najee Harris when they have an undrafted kid who's just happy to be on the team? And even if you gave him the slightest upgrade in the pay, he would be more than happy. So it's a weird thing. But at the end of the day, like Derrick Henry got paid. Will he see money on the second side? We don't know. Nick Chubb, I think if you're the elite, look at Bijan Robinson, 8th pick to the Falcons. If you're an elite player, you're going to go high. To put it this way, if Bijan Robinson delivers on what the Falcons expected at 8, he's not going to worry about getting that pay raise. I just think when guys kind of think they will get that, I think that's what's kind of miscues what we're thinking in terms of what these guys actually deserve.
But, Bo, we also saw the sad ending for Trent Richardson, and I thought would be, slam dunk, and it just didn't work out for him in the NFL. I don't know exactly where the devaluing of running back started, but I'm gonna cite 2 examples, and I don't know the date, but Bobby Beathard found Tim Smith for one Super Bowl Sunday to run all over Denver. Now, he had John Riggins before that with Washington, and they had good running backs. They had Gerald Riggs in there. They had other running backs in there. But out of nowhere comes this guy. And then I think when Terrell Davis showed you can find one, I won't say just anywhere, but a lot of places, that hurt the value of the big-name running back.
Well, Brett, you're right. And we could even take it off Mike Shanahan. I mean, Arlandis Gary, Mike Anderson, Terrell Davis. I mean, he was a 1,000-yard producer of the most unknown guy.
You mentioned Mike Anderson, yeah.
Yeah. So listen, and that's the problem. It's a position where you can find adequate. Like when we watch the draft unfold, like Tank Bigsby, Kenandre Miller. Like there's so many, there's so many fat, running backs. Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA. Like these guys are second, third day backs. Where a couple decades ago, they would have been first round guys. But it's just the way the league is. So we get caught up in where they were drafted. But in today's league, their talents exceed their draft value in terms of who they are as a player. But they're downgraded because of the position. And we are there. Listen, we've known this has been coming. I don't think we're surprised by it. And I like the guys getting together for the Zoom call and saying, hey, we're getting together. I do think that speaks volumes to them addressing their own personal needs. But on the outside looking in, like if you play another position, I mean, listen, if I'm a defensive back, you guys are defensive backs. We want the defensive backs to make as much money. So in terms of the CBA, I don't really know how you can, I guess, stray away from the rules of this. There's not going to be some, hey, you know what, if you get 100 carries and 50 catches, you get this much bonus. Because then, if you're a defensive back, I'm like, why do they get it? If I get 5 pass deflections and 3 interceptions, we should receive this much. So it's the CBA, it's position, and I think we're at the precipice is the position is at a point where you're better off not being a power back like Derrick Henry. And we know Derrick Henry is phenomenal. He's got the yards, but I think with the way the NFL is going is if you're going to make an impact in terms of how teams want to pay you, you're going to have to be that impact guy, an Alvin Kamara, an Austin Eckler, where you're going to be able to catch and run the ball effectively, like Tony Pollard. 9 yards a catch. Like when you look at around the league and you see the receivers and what they average yards per catch, and you think every time that Dak Prescott dropped back, this guy is getting 9 yards per catch on average. That's a crazy good stack. Like Saquon Barkley, 6 yards. Not bad, but you're talking 3-4 yards better with Pollard, and that's I think where you kind of look at their effectiveness in the offense.
Yeah, it's a great point. But when you're talking about Saquon Barkley, were you surprised that he signed that extension today? I mean, it seemed like going into veterans reporting for training camp, the thought around the NFL was that this holdout from Saquon would go a couple of weeks into training camp, and then we wake up this morning and it's done.
I was surprised. I'm not going to lie. Everything you mentioned, you're like, wow, how did this happen? I mean, if you told me one thing that was going to happen today in terms of NFL, National Football League news, I would have said Saquon Barkley arriving in the Meadowlands outside of New York, in Jersey there, Secaucus Junction, where you get the train into the city. I'd have said Saquon Barkley is not arriving there. But lo and behold, he does. But, hey, you know what? Somehow I think he realized, listen, you're either going to go the Le'Veon Bell route where you get nothing, or you're going to make a significant amount of money. And, again, it's disappointing where I think if you're an employer, you want your employees to be happy or feel that they're, validated in what they're worth. I think he was 40% of the Giants' offense in terms of touches, yards, etc. So, I mean, he has a valid point in terms of his importance to the team. And, like the Chiefs, we know Patrick Mahomes is how the Chiefs roll. Nobody's going to say Daniel Jones is the reason why the Giants had success last season. You can't say it's not the reason, but everybody would probably say, hey, you know what, Saquon Barkley, he's a very versatile guy. And I think that's the problem where Barkley, I think where this became such an issue is he's that important to how the Giants, like Tennessee and Derrick Henry. We don't care about Malik Willis. We don't care about Ryan Tannehill. We care about how Henry, he's the icon of the offense. And I think that goes for Barkley. But, hey, at the end of the day, he did come, and it's a good thing, but nonetheless, he's probably going to, hope he can stay healthy for 17 games. They make the playoffs, stay healthy for their run in the playoffs, and then when 2024 free agency opens up, maybe, just maybe, he gets the money that he deserves.
We know that a lot of Daniel Jones and the Giants' success last year, it was hinged to Saquon Barkley. But Jones doesn't have it without that running back play. What are another team that it really stands out? If they don't have that running back play, that quarterback's not doing it without him.
Well, I think Austin Eckler. I think he's. I mean, when that came up at top score, Eckler wanted more money, and there might have been some, posturing between the Chargers and their, the Eckler side of finding an agreement. I don't think there's any player built better for how the Chargers run offensively. And we all know Justin Herbert is a superstar quarterback, but he's the outlet, and he's the outlet valve on everything that's successful for them. It's not Keenan Allen. It's not Mike Williams. It all revolves around Eckler. So I think he's the guy that stands out in my mind. And, he got a little bit of a bump, but he had to fight for it. And he was part of the Zoom meeting. One of the players, voicing their displeasure of how this position has been, kind of drastically underpaid in terms of, listen, I think Keenan Allen makes more than Austin Eckler. Can anybody listen on Memphis Sports 56 think that Keenan Allen right now should make more money than Austin? It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Granted, you're talking about specific players, but I think the position shouldn't limit you to what you make. And I think there are a few running backs in terms of some of the, Calvin Ridley money that he gets in Jacksonville for some of these guys to play the running back position. I think that's the argument they should take, not so much, our position, but I think comparing it to some other positions. But I know players like to stick together. You never want to diminish or devalue your brothers, your teammates, the guys that you're in the locker room with. But there is a point. If you're gonna do Zoom calls and make it a public announcement, we're unhappy, you might have to attack those other positions and kind of call people out.
Yeah, I understand solidarity, and I know where they're coming from, but also understand the CBA, and they all agreed to it.
And that's it. And listen, I mean, anybody involved with unions, I mean, listen, there's always going to be people who vote no matter what the union is. You're going to get $1 million a year, they're going to vote no because we want $1 million from one. Listen, this was the CBA that they agreed upon, or at least the votes recognized that. And there was some controversy in this particular one. I mean, there always is, but I know this particular CBA catered to the lower tier prospects, not so much the Aaron Rodgers type prospects where, you're making 50, 60 million a year. This might not cater to you. This caters, I guess, to the middle class, the majority, not to the upper elite of the National Football League. And I think that's why it had such a success. I still don't think that's why the running backs aren't getting paid. It's just a position where, you can find very talented players that aren't necessarily drafted high. You can get them, after the draft concludes, and it's dollars and cents. It's commodity and demand, and all those things play factors. There's a reason why you play quarterback, you're going to make more money because you just can't find those. Mm-hmm. If there was 9 guys sitting on the street that could play as good as any backup or starter, then the value wouldn't be there. But we've come to learn that running backs, as good as they are, as good as some are, as rare specimens as, some guys can do things that are just, your Ecklers, your Christian McCaffreys, your Alvin Kamaros, guys that are just so special at running, catching, just doing everything to put that ball forward. You can find guys to do that. And hence, NFL teams know that. And when they're writing out the paychecks, they're just like, hey, we can find another guy to do the same thing and, take it or leave it.
Yeah. We're talking about the NFL with Bo Marchant. Last week, Bo, we had the official sale approval go through for the Washington Commanders from Dan Snyder now to a group led by Josh Harris. It also includes Magic Johnson. My favorite thing from that day was right after it was approved, Josh Harris on his way home calls a Washington bar, or I guess a Washington radio show that was doing a remote at a bar, and said, I'm buying everybody in there a beer. You saw people literally rejoicing in the streets about the sale in Washington. What does this mean for that Commanders and that organization?
Well, I mean, this is a proud franchise, and I grew up as a Washington Redskins fan. So, this was my team. I loved John Riggins growing up because I was always chubby. So I was just like, man, like Charles Barkley, Kirby Puckett, John Riggins. Those are my 3 favorite athletes in the sports, all because they resembled who I thought I looked like, chubby and, hardworking. And, and it just went on from there. And then I fell in love with Darryl Green. This is a proud franchise. I was there at RFK the year that they beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. Me and my buddy went down. The place was rocking. It was a dream come true to visit RFK, the heyday, Joe Gibbs. Everybody was there. And then, I always tease my wife because in 91 I met her. We started dating. The Bills, they beat the Bills in the Super Bowl, and I told her, we won that Super Bowl, but ever since I met you, the Washington has been a disaster. So hopefully, with new ownership, there is a revival. And that story you shared, I think that's what they need. This fan base is ready. I mean, this is one of the most, strongest fan bases there, but it's been decades,
like a college team.
It's been decades of just neglect and arrogance and no love. And privately I could share stories. I'm sure we all could, but like the stories that I've heard with Snyder and some of the things that he's done, and they're not atrocious acts, but just kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? It's just the arrogance or the ignorance of saying or doing some of the things that I heard he said from players. It's just, you just scratch your head. Like, you couldn't imagine anybody having the audacity to think that, they might be able to, and I think once you start hearing those things, listen, I'm as outside can be, but I have a little bit of knowledge on the situation for the internal issues. And they're kind of becoming more aware week after week as we kind of delve into what happened under Snyder's reign. It's just a good thing for the NFL and they get away. But I will say this, the year that the Steelers played Green Bay and Dallas, he was down at one of the meetings, and he was one of the nicest people I've spoke to. I mean, he was just genuine and down to earth, and it was so shocking to hear all these things come out that are contradictory to, what we hear now and we see. Because, the one time that and it was several minutes. It was actually him and Robert Kraft. And, even when I got done, just talking with them, it was not an interview. It was just, us just, talking football and talking life. And, I remember going back to my hotel just thinking like, well, that was something I didn't expect. And, wow, those guys were pretty cool.
Yeah.
And my guess yesterday, just pure supposition, totally a guess, that I think they brought Magic Johnson in to be the deal maker for a retractable roof, state-of-the-art stadium built in the district. No suburbs, no Maryland, no Virginia, in the district, and getting a publicly financed anything in the District of Columbia. I don't think we can imagine the red tape and the various because of the control of D.C. by the federal government, how it was set up. And I think Magic Johnson's job might be the only thing that can bring Democrats and Republicans together in D.C. is to do something for the NFL team.
Well, Brett, hey, if one thing's going to bring this nation together, at least we can rely on football, right? So,
and
that's
Magic,
a great point. And Magic is, listen, I think that's a great point. And what a if you're going to put anybody's face and personality to send a message to say, hey, this is what we want to do. And on the piggyback on that, everybody was so anti-Snyder and everything that they represented that I think it's going to be able to pass anything anti-Snyder just to say that we're happy now. And, I think if you're under that type of mentality, you look up at the sky, it was black clouds every day. Now you see the sun and the warmth on your face. You're like, yeah, you know what? I'll vote for this or I'll support that. Or wait, where do you want to put
He's
the
gone.
stadium? He's gone. We'll tear down the Capitol building and put the RFK2 there. I mean, I just think that it benefits everything that Harris wants to do. And, Magic is a spokesman of spokesmen. I mean, he's just, he has that charisma, that happy face, that smile. That's why he's Magic. And that's a great point. I never really thought about it that way, but now that you bring it up, it makes so much sense as him being the front man. Because I remember the reports coming out that day that he did so much talking. You would almost think Magic's the owner, but I think he has 4% ownership in the team. But it's just a smart power play to the public and a media persona to get him out there and kind of get this thing running.
It's
like
really
the
smart. All right, let's.
break.
And the Dodgers with Magic as front man. NFC North quarterbacks, AFC North next week when you're in Canton, Ohio, once the home of the Canton Bulldogs. Who wants to go first, Bryant?
I guess I'll go first. Why not? I thought this one was fairly simple, I guess. I'll go 4-1. 4, Jordan Love. 3, Justin Fields. It was hard for me to put him at number 3. I wanted to put him at number 2. But number 2, Jared Goff, and then number 1, Kirk Cousins.
I'm the exact same list. 1, Cousins. 2, Jared Goff. 3, Justin Fields. 4, Jordan Love. 1 year from right now, if we're doing NFC North on this date next year, Justin Fields will be number one.
Very well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. I think that out of all the ones we've done so far, I think this is the trickiest of them all because not that Cousins is past his prime, but Fields and we know he's on the upswing. We really haven't seen much of Jordan Love, and then you have Cousins and Goff, where we've kind of had their day in the sun. Now where do they rank? So to me, this was the funnest one because I think it's the most unpredictable. And I know, like last week, Jay had a couple different guys, but I know, like me, you, Brian, we all picked the same guys. And by the way, I gave Jay his props before the call because I everything he picks, I could validate. I love the way he goes. But if I'm going one, I'm going to go one. I'm going to go one with Kirk Cousins. I'm going to go two with Justin Fields. I think with the weapons that they acquired and Moore and Claypool, a healthy Mooney, I think that can improve him. So Cousins, Fields, Goff, and then Jordan Love for me.
I like it. All right, Jay Moore.
I really didn't think I was going to come with anything spicy today, but I'll go 4-1 here.
Go.
Number 4 for me is Jordan Love. Number 3 is Justin Fields. I'll tell you what, if we were rating quarterback rooms, Bears, number 1, P.J. Walker and Nate Peterman in their quarterback room. That's a heck of a room right there. Number 2 for me is going to be Kirk Cousins. Like you said, a little bit past his prime. I'm seeing his play dip a little bit. Meanwhile, my number 1, Jared Goff, is priming it, baby. He's coming right into his prime, playing the best football of his career. He's slinging the ball all over the field. He's number 1 in this division for me.
So, Jay Morgan, are you picking a Lions upset opening night, that Thursday night over Kansas City?
I got to get to my handicapping first. I don't want to make any preemptive
Still got to get through
picks.
the preseason.
One thing at a time.
Yeah. But both
Brett, that real quick, that could be our night for Branch makes the impact play to save the game because we know we both love him.
It sure could be. It sure could be that night.
It could be. But Bo, thank you so much for joining us. Always a lot of fun to talk NFL with you.
Enjoy Canton. We'll talk next week.
Yep. Hey, camps. I'm in Pittsburgh now. I'm heading to the Trove in the morning. So stay safe, gentlemen.
Ooh, you too.
That's
Thanks,
great.
Bo.
That is great. Bo Marchant with us, headed to Latrobe for Pittsburgh Steelers camp, and then next week he'll be in Canton for the Hall of Fame game and the Hall of Fame ceremony. You got 2 great locations for the commissary. We're really going to have a third coming up here soon, and that's going to be at the pit at TPC Southwind at the FedEx St. Jude Classic. About 2 hours ago, we were visiting with Joe Tomic and Walker Taylor and his team. They will be in the pit again right there by 8T, 9T, 1 green right behind it. I spent more time at the pit last year than I did out on the golf course, and for good reason. You can get that great Memphis-style barbecue from the commissary like you can at the Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. If you're craving an easier way to order, you don't have to go out to the pit. You can text commissary right now to 33733 and start that feast with a great appetizer like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos, the smoked chicken wings. That's all for starters. Then dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate on a sandwich with all the sides like deviled eggs, slaw, beans, bread, and you can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. It will soon be tailgating time. It will soon be game watching all day Saturday, all day Sunday, Monday night football watching. And we can get out on the patio at the Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar and enjoy all the games outside after it gets to football season. Save room for dessert like the lemon ice box pie, the strawberry cake, the terrific banana pudding. Here's the number. 901-754-5540. Almost dinner time. You need to go there now or call there now. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybbq.com. In Collierville and Germantown, those party areas, orders to go, catering, tailgating, all at the commissary.
Let's grab a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Are you ready to conquer the great outdoors? Come in today and gear up with the dependable Suzuki King Quad ATV, because there's no rest for the rugged. Its unparalleled combination of power, versatility, and reliability allow you to tackle the toughest terrains with ease. And right now, there are lots of ways to help you hit the trail, including low APR financing and low monthly payments for qualified buyers, discounts for the military and first responders, and more. Roll into Olive Branch Motorsports in Olive Branch, Mississippi, and experience the Suzuki King Quad ATV's unmatched capabilities today.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Whatever you do, don't buy an engagement ring or any piece of diamond jewelry until you discover the all-new Genesis Diamonds, now open in Poplar Commons. Genesis Diamonds. This is no ordinary jewelry store. It's a global diamond powerhouse started by former diamond wholesalers with rock-bottom prices on exquisite hand-selected diamonds and a selection that's up to 30 times other stores. They've been bringing price relief to Nashville, Louisville, and Cincinnati for years. Voted best jewelry store 13 years in a row. Now, they're here. Genesis Diamonds guarantees to beat the price of any diamond you find at any other local jeweler. Period. Any size, any shape. Plus, at Genesis, you have access to the most sought-after ring designers in the world. Names like Ferragio, Henry Dawsey, Simon G, and many more. All this plus a stunning showroom, unbeatable warranties and guarantees, a no-holds-barred diamond education, no commission salespeople, and free service for life on any purchase. Genesis Diamonds, a true game changer in jewelry shopping. Now open in Poplar Commons. Genesis Diamonds, official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back in to Sports Time. And Brett, I saw this earlier and just haven't had any time to bring it up, but sounds like Jim Harbaugh might be suspended for the first 4 games of the season for Michigan because of some recruiting violations, which when you first hear that, doesn't sound great, but then you kind of look at their schedule. Those first 4 games, East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and Rutgers, and all 4 of those games are at home.
They're going to win all 4 of those. East Carolina, I think, will be improved. Sure. Remember, I have them 3 in the AAC, but they're going to win all 4 of those games with or without, Jim Harbaugh, and I think it's just ridiculous what the NCAA is doing, and it's why I said I hope that it doesn't last 3 more minutes. They're not going to. You do sign up to be a member, and and when you do, that gives them all disciplinary matters. It starts and it ends with the NCAA. I would just so love it if Michigan said, no way. We're going to do what we want to do. He's coaching those games. What are you going to do about it?
Do you think we get to a point where schools start doing that?
I think we're close with Texas A&M on NIL. Yeah. That they think they can win it legally and in court of public opinion. But you got to be real careful. What if you don't? And they still have, the infraction enforcement and disciplinary yoke over you. But I wish Harbaugh would go, no, in Michigan, no, I'm going to coach. What are you going to do about it? You can't stop me. You're feckless. Everybody knows it. Nobody cares about you more. But the comeback to all that is, you signed up. You're a member.
You're a member of the NCAA. That is a good comeback.
Can't have it both ways. You can't say that CBA is enforceable, and then say you can kind of buck the man with the NCAA.
But man, I mean, shout out to Michigan for having this needing to do something and go, well, we can give them a 4-game suspension, and you look at the schedule and. First 4 games, very friendly to a 4-game suspension for your head coach.
Right, and you look at the transgressions, and they are mild by even an Ohio State fan would say there's not a lot to this, but it's the NCAA, and they're so good at all the little stuff. They're so great at enforcing jaywalking when there's so much other things going on, and they know they don't have control over football, but they do over penalty and enforcement. He's going to miss those games. And Michigan's one of the higher-browed places that I don't think they would be the one to be resistant. But somebody's going to, and I think it'll be A&M over the new NIL stuff.
It'd be interesting. That really would.
Over the collective stuff.
Yeah, and they definitely could be, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slides. We talked a lot about the trade deadline earlier for Major League Baseball, and kind of some more news coming out about the Cardinals and what they might do in a week at the deadline. Katie Wu, who writes for The Athletic, covers the Cardinals for The Athletic. She reported about an hour ago that the Cardinals are exploring a multi-year contract extension with Jordan Hicks. There's optimism the deal could be done within the next couple of days. She then quote tweeted that a couple minutes later and just kind of reemphasized the Cardinals are still selling, and if both sides are unable to come to an agreement, St. Louis will trade Jordan Hicks by the deadline. So trying to get that deal done for Jordan Hicks and make him part of that long-term plan, but also at the same time, he could very well be gone at the deadline.
So are they selling or not? And what level of selling is it? Is it wholesale or retail? Or if it's a total remake of the team, shouldn't he be involved? Because again, couldn't he get a good return for you? You're not getting anything back for Giovanni Gallegos.
No, unfortunately, you're not. But you could get something back for Jordan Hicks. I mean, he has shown that he could be a very good setup man or even a closer in this league.
He has, and since the I'm gonna say middle of May, I think he's been pretty effective. Had 1 or 2 blow-ups, had the throwing era a few weeks ago that really stood out, but mostly pretty good. And what is his future with wherever he is? Is it 8th, 9th inning guy? Is it starter? What is it?
I don't think it's starter. I mean, that would surprise me if it's starter. But I mean, I think what you're kind of seeing with the Cardinals, that kind of 7 to 9 inning, put him in, get 3 outs, and then maybe send him out for another inning to at least get the inning started. But you definitely want 3 good outs from him. I think he has shown that he can be one of the top relief pitchers in that aspect.
I can't ever remember the Cardinals at any trade deadline, even in bad years, 2007, the last losing season, but that was after a World Series win, had a good nucleus. A lot went wrong early that year. Okay, back to pre-Tony La Russa. There was even with Tony La Russa, there was a bad year or so in the late 90s. But even in 1990, when they had Fire Whitey Herzog, you knew a lot of that was the brewery was trying to sell the team. They were really cutting back on everything. I've never seen the Cardinals kind of this desperate and just lashing out in a bunch of different directions, almost with no plan that it appears like this, maybe ever, because in the 70s, you knew Gussie Busch wasn't going to be involved in the big free agent deals. And largely because he didn't want to make those other owners mad and then pull Budweiser out of those ballparks. He was worried about selling beer first and baseball second. And then you got into the big free agent days, and the Cardinals always kind of passed on that and got Whitey Herzog to really transform the team, both as GM and as field manager. But this seems as hopeless as ever. But the magic touch of John Mozeliak, it's over. That's moved on, and I don't think anybody trusts the field manager.
No, I don't think many people trust either the field manager or Mozeliak. And
there's not.
But kind of like what both of y'all have said when we've been talking about the Cardinals is there has been no clear direction on what they're going to do at the deadline. I mean, you hear it's full sell. We're focused on next year. Only a couple of players are going to be protected from the sell, and then it's, we might sell a couple, but ultimately this whole group is going to be back. In the most part, now you're kind of trying to work on extensions for certain players that you could get a good return out of. So it just seems like you're a week away from the deadline, and there's not a clear objective.
You got to have a Cardinal team that you can go into the offseason selling season tickets, selling skyboxes, signage, stuff like that. But also when we get around to winter warm-up in January, a team that they can, with a straight face, say they can punch one of those six playoff spots. And if you can't do that, I don't know if Cardinal fans are ready to sign up for, kind of 2 or 3 years in the wilderness.
Yeah, no, that would be that'd be a tough ask from Cardinals fans. But
that's Reds talk.
It really is. And but I mean, I guess you could point out that it's kind of working for the Reds right now, but I don't think anybody would want to go through what the Reds have gone through the past couple of years.
And for the Cardinals, they say, and I mostly believe that they draw $3 million a year. I believe that.
Sure.
And then all the other money that is generated by Ballpark Village with what they're doing, where's it going?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. I don't know. I have found myself, speaking of Cardinals and fans and stuff, I have found myself more and more on Cardinals Twitter this year. Maybe I just notice it more because most of the fans are upset with what's been going on the field. But I just don't understand. We kind of talked about it a week or so ago when it kind of came up as an idea. But I don't understand the thought of trying to get Logan Gilbert from the Seattle Mariners. I mean, it seems like that's the guy that Cardinals Twitter has really keyed in on of that's the guy you've got to go get at the trade deadline. I don't know why Seattle would move off of him.
I don't either, and that's the deal that doesn't help you for this year. And how does it help you that much for next year?
I mean, it's an arm. It's a good starting pitcher, but I don't know what you would give up for him, and I don't know what Seattle would ask for him. I don't even know if Seattle would be willing to give him up because he's so young and has shown to be a good number 2 or number 3 pitcher in a rotation.
And now it doesn't feel like Seattle's going anywhere. We're going to see who really thinks they have a chance to go for it this year with the deals that are made and not made.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you kind of look around. There's a lot of teams that could really go either way, buyers or sellers. And so, with only a week left, it's kind of a lot of decisions to be made around the league, especially with the Angels. I mean, the Angels have continued to find ways to win, and it seems like a lot of people who cover Major League Baseball nationally are thinking that the Angels might not move off of Shohei at the deadline.
If they don't, and then they don't go to the playoffs, it's that vicious cycle that they stay in, and I'll bring up, 12 postseason at-bats for Mike Trout ever?
Yeah, I mean, it's not many at all. it's a tough situation for the Angels.
About as many as Joey Votto.
Yeah, and
Votto's had a longer career. And one thing in the Cardinal favor to the quick fix for next year is the division is not going to be any tougher. I mean, there's not a team out there that's really lapping the field, and that's why I think even with last night's loss, Cincinnati, they'll stay in it because every year Milwaukee they find a way to blow it. You need to find a way to get down Highway 78 to All-Star Chevrolet. That's the first exit when you cross into Mississippi. When you're on 78, you cross into Mississippi, Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there. You can get a new Silverado. You can get financing as low as 1.9%, and you can have a payment-free rest of the summer and into the fall. Your good credit deserves that. Come drive a Silverado or one of the Trailblazers, or see Kevin or Jeff and talk to them about a custom order. If you're a first responder, educator, military, recent college grad, healthcare professional, an extra $500 in bonus cash. Kevin and Jeff asked me to thank all of you who brought your cars and your trucks to All-Star to sell, and All-Star is still paying great cash, and you can get a check today, even if you owe money against it, even if you didn't buy from All-Star. And their certified and pre-owned section, it's loaded. Certified Silverados, Jeeps, Corvette Stingrays, Tahoes, Ram trucks, and if you need service or maintenance, call Sean or Jeff in the All-Star Chevy Service Department. Don't delay on those oil changes. Remember, it's not the Pike, it's not South Haven, not Bartlett, Mount Moriah, or Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy today, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
So we all know you can get everything you need at a grocery store, but why would you pay more for lesser quality meat? At Louis Deli and Meat Market in Arlington, you're not only going to see the quality in their meats, but you will literally taste the quality in every single bite. Plus, more than likely, pay less. And that's really important nowadays. Got to get together? Fire up that grill with their handmade garlic sausages or jalapeno and cheddar bratwurst. Or how about a hand-cut bacon wrap filet or top sirloin? The absolute best. Or if you want to know how to improve your outdoor grilling, pick up some of Louis' fresh ground beef or maybe their hand-cut ribeye or New York strip. Louis has literally everything for your grill, from barbecue rubs, sauces, charcoal, and so much more. And Louis Deli and Meat Market only carries the finest deli meats and 19 cheeses. And I guarantee you they make the best deli sandwiches in the area. So visit Louis Deli and Meat Market, located in Arlington at 11695 Highway 70, just north of a mile east of Highway 385. Is locally and veteran-owned. Is Louis Deli and Meat Market. It's the quality you can see and taste.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
The FedEx St. Jude Championship returns to TPC Southwind, August 9th through the 13th. Don't miss your chance to witness the top 70 players from the PGA Tour season battle it out in the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Only 50 players will make it through Memphis. Don't miss your chance to watch the drama unfold. Daily grounds and upgraded ticket options are on sale now at FedExChampionship.com.
I can't wait for what's next, even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation and irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, the Pixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist-prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
I'm with John Virgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is Geraldo. It is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, what I learned today is don't tease Elly De La Cruz before one of his at-bats. Last night, in the first inning, he almost hit a home run against the Brewers, but it was robbed by the center fielder. So his next time up in the third inning on the Jumbotron in Milwaukee, under his name and 0 for 1, it said, quote, player trivia, almost hit a home run in the first inning, ... but didn't. Elly De La Cruz, on the first pitch he saw at that at-bat, proceeded to hit a 456-foot home run to get his first, could have been second home run of the night. The Brewers ultimately won that game last night, but it was a fun storyline within the game of the Brewers trying to tease Elly De La Cruz and then him kind of showing him, I'll go ahead and just hit one and then I won't be homerless in this game.
So we're going to do that now in sports on the Jumbotron. We're going to be like that. We're going to treat everything like we're on the X. Huh?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and how much has Milwaukee ever won in anything?
Not much.
The Brewers?
Not much.
Not much at all. What I learned today, Orioles now 19-9 in one-run games after a thriller last night. First place in the AL East, best road record in the American League. At 62 up, 38 down, 24 over 500. They won 3 of 4 over the weekend at Tropicana Field. And the win last night in a rematch of the 1983 World Series They won that game last night in Philly. 1983, the last time Baltimore won it all. I would be fine with them winning it all this year.
What I could have done without Sam Hardiman from the Daily Memphian wrote a story today about the money that the city is getting for their stadium upgrades. In the story, he talks about Jim Strickland went up to Indiana a couple months ago and visited Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the Indiana Pacers play their home games, for an idea of what the renovations should and could look like for FedEx Forum. He goes on to talk about the money, how it could be split up, and what they should do with that money. But ultimately, Sam Hardman wrote in his story, quote, back of the napkin math would cost double of whether there is enough money in the city's funding package for both the Simmons Bank, Liberty Stadium, and FedEx Forum renovations. He doubts that there's going to be enough money, and I think we're very excited to hear the ideas and the fact that money is coming to Memphis, and the ideas of what it could create with the Memphis Tigers and with the Memphis Grizzlies. I know a lot of people excited about the thought of a soccer-only stadium, but it looks like that there might just not be enough money. I know we talked about it when that money is. How do you split that up for enough for the Grizzlies, enough for the Tigers and Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium? And it's starting to look like it might not be enough money, and I know someone's going to be left out of that equation. I'm just hoping it could be enough to keep the Grizzlies here and kind of do enough to get Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium fixed up enough to be looked at as a facility that could be a P5.
And I said, here's the order for me: Grizzlies first, however much they need. We got to keep that, and we got to do whatever they want. Then second, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Then third, AutoZone Park, and then fourth, soccer only. And there's been a lot of public money spent on AutoZone Park. And if you go down there, you have to wonder how well has it been maintained and how well has your money already been spent. Could have done without Adam Wainwright struggling to get to 5 innings pitched last night to try to qualify for a win. And then the bullpen, it took over and quickly blew it. 2 wins shy of 200 for Adam Wainwright, and it's almost hard to watch. The Cardinals kind of desperate to get him over that 200 mark.
Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to ACC Media Days. Is it time for FSU to reclaim the top spot, or can Cade Klubnik keep Clemson on top in that league? Drake May playing for the Heisman this year, and will the U ever be back? The last year Clemson didn't win 10 or more games, 2010. Since then, they've won 142 games. People want to say it's over at Clemson. It's just not at the top that it was.
Yeah. Jay Morgan, where are you beaming?
I think I'm going to beam to Los Angeles tonight for the Dodgers and the Blue Jays.
Oh, that will be a fun one. I think I'm going to beam. I'll beam to Arizona again, see the Cardinals and the D-backs. Jay Morgan feels really good about what the Cardinals can do tonight, but that'll do it for us. Some good baseball games tonight. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse.